start. He and I got this whole thing started in a way. And Novo Nordisk CEO
hello.
Mike Dustar for joining us today. Great, talented people. They make a lot of money. I looked at the money, but they're entitled to the money because the companies are doing very well. Along with Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Secretary Howard Lutnick. Do you take any of this stuff, Howard?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
Hey, Doug.
CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, he doesn't take it. Food and Drug Administrator Commissioner Marty McCary, and Director of Medicare Chris Klump. And we have Steve, where's Steve? Is he here? Head of Public Relations for the White House. He's taking it. The United States is just 4% of the world's
For any of the folks in here, we're just watching. I got them pretty quickly. I know, hello, Demoskis. I got on pretty quickly just because Donald Trump is live. And I'm very curious to see what his mood is like after Mamdani's victory.
Not so good. Right?
And he seems kind of pissy and sad. He seems kind of pissy and sad, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, so I'm just starting early because Trump went live, and I've been curious to see what his mood is like. So after the last few days, hello Drusilla, hello Demoskis, hello SoCal.
Implement most favored nations drug pricing, something that has
absolutely
been
Demoskis.
helped greatly by tariffs, because when nations refuse to do it, we should have put this in the case yesterday.
Yeah, he is.
I just say,
You're
well,
right,
you're
Meowser.
not
Hello,
gonna do it, we're
Meowser.
going to charge you a like amount of tariffs.
It is,
and they
Maxim.
immediately say, we'll do it.
Like, look at that. You're right, Maxim. Look at that. Like, his hair. Oof, it is thinning.
Which means that Americans should pay no more than the lowest price offered anywhere in the world.
By the way, I'm eating lunch at the same time, so forgive me.
Where you'll pay $150 for a pill in New York, and you'll pay $10 for a pill in London. Now you're going to pay $20 both, because the world is a little bit bigger than the U.S.,
Yeah.
so it goes up that way. But you'll pay $20 and $20. A tremendous advantage to our country after years of being abused by the world system. Already Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and EMD, Serrano, have agreed to drastically lower their prices for American patients. And today, Eli
Here's the
Lilly
thing, folks.
and Novo Nordisk are joining the
Big problem with this is that just because companies agree to lower their prices doesn't mean they'll do it. Not only that, they can easily revoke it later. So I love when he's like, "Oh, we had all these people that they're agreeing to do this." It's not like there's a law going into effect that would force them to do this.
phenomenal list of the
Right,
most
Drusilla.
exciting announcements. I mean, nobody's ever had announcements like, and this has to do with other pharmaceutical products also. But we're covering this today because it's such a big seller. I guess it's the number one.
It's 6 p.m. there. That's funny,
selling thing
Drusilla.
there is today. These are two companies that behind the groundbreaking weight loss drugs that have helped millions of Americans struggling with obesity live better, longer lives, everything else. These are the two companies that really broke ground. Until now,
Right, SoCal.
neither of these two popular drugs have been covered by Medicare for weight loss.
Right,
And they've
Demosthenes.
only rarely been covered by Medicaid. They've often
that is so
cost
true,
consumers
SoCal.
more than $1,000 per month, and some a lot more than that. Americans have been spending as much as 520%
I would
more
hardly
for
call it that, Jay
Zepbound
Shadow.
and
I would hardly say, welcome, Jay
1400%
Shadow.
more
I would
for
hardly call
Wegovy
it government
than
negotiated
patients in
health
Europe.
care.
Think of that.
It's that he got these companies
1400% more than a
to
patient
promise
for
to
the
lower
exact
their
same
prices.
box. And that ends starting today. The other countries are not happy with us. I don't think they like me too much, Bobby, but that's okay. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are committing to offer Zepbound and Wegovy at most favored nations.
Exactly,
rates for
Elliot. That's why we're
American
watching
patients.
this. Hello, Elliot.
This will slash the cost of Wegovy from $1,350 a month to ultimately $250 a month. $1,350 to $250. Did I do a good job? They don't write about it. You know, they like to not write these things. And reduce. You think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. And reduce the monthly cost of Zepbound from $1,080 to $346. In addition, they're both committing that
Exactly,
future GLP-1
SoCal.
weight loss drugs taken orally which are currently under development, will be sold at no more than $149 per month. It's a massive, think of that. You go from $1,300 to $149 a month. We anticipate these new versions will be.
See, this is the thing. Obviously, he's not forcing them to do it. He really is, Jay Shadow. He's not forcing these companies to pay it. He's having them voluntarily do it, which means they could change it at any point. And does he actually mean that it'll only cost that much, or as in he's saying that it'll only cost out of pocket $100 and some dollars, or that the entire price is only going to go down to $100 and some dollars? So, like, this is very unclear.
Coming out in a very short period of time. All of these drugs will be available directly to the consumer at trumprx.gov.
Right, SoCal.
They want you to use my name. Trump, it better be good. trumprx.gov. And I think it's turning out to be pretty amazing, right, us? Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Co-pays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50.
Oh, wow, that's so low.
Tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,300
as low as
$50
right?
to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors. And you all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I cut it 1/8 of, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever seen anything like this.
Totally, SoCal. Hello, Diego.
Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly. In addition, you think it was easy dealing with these people? It wasn't.
Oh, he's
You
pissed.
think it was easy saying your drug, Mr. Eli Lilly, that we're selling for $1,300 is going to be sold for $250. You know the amazing thing, the stock's all went up. I mean, these guys they're fantastic because it's going to equalize the world. The world's a bigger place. And it's going to
right,
equalize.
SoCal.
I was a little surprised to see that, but I'm happy about it. In addition, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to provide all of their other medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. Most favored nations, meaning that you will pay the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to pay.
Brazil.
Whereas before they paid low prices and we paid, thousands of percentile
we should push him on that, Elliot.
More. And to sell these drugs to all consumers at deeply discounted prices via trumprx.com. When is trumprx.com opening?
The site is open. It will launch in terms of giving people prices before the end of the year.
Okay. Got to make sure it's successful. It's got my name on it.
Oh, did you guys hear that? When authoritarians feel their power slipping away, they oftentimes become very paranoid. I think I mentioned yesterday, and they start suspecting everyone around them of trying to undermine their authority. You can kind of see it. You literally can kind of see it. He keeps saying things like, well, it better go well. It better go well because my name is on it. And some of the things he said yesterday, he is, he seems to be kind of upset and is kind of not trusting the people around him.
I want to be like the train they're building in California, okay, which has about 15,000% cost overrun, or the beautiful Obama building that he's building in Chicago for the museum, which is now shuttered up and dead. They got it up, and they couldn't finish. It's about, would you say, 5 years behind schedule?
God, speak up.
2,000% over budget. Then he tells us how to run Medicaid. Many of the most widely used drugs will be available for 60% off, or even more than that. In addition, all new medications introduced by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to the American market will be sold at the heavily reduced most favored nations price. Most favored nations price, that's the best, because they have been thousands of percent lower than what we were selling in many cases. Furthermore, Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. That's all? And Novo Nordisk will invest $10 billion. That's all? That's peanuts. In the United States to reshore.
Ooh, he's pissy.
Do a big domestic manufacturing job in the facilities they're going to spend. So Eli Lilly spent $27 billion. Novo is spending 10 billion in the United States. So they're building new plant and equipment. That's part of
That's all. Hello,
what will be
JDH.
20 or
Hello,
21
Louise.
trillion dollars this year.
He might be,
There's never been
JD
anything
Shadow.
like it. I know nobody talks about it, but there's never been anything like I would say, you would say, that there's never been anything like this.
He absolutely
ever
is so
whether it's China or Europe,
China.
or you could take all of Europe, there's never been anything like this. So we're already past 17 trillion. We're going to be, I think by the time the year closes out, we'll have investments of over $21 trillion based on the way we're going. And by the way, tariffs are very important. Without tariffs, perhaps it could be a little bit different, to put it mildly. Tariffs are so important. The decision in the Supreme Court would be devastating to our country if we got a negative, devastating if we got a negative decision.
By the way, the Supreme Court seems
But
poised
this is
to
a great
strike
day
down his
for
tariffs.
American health and healthcare, and for all of American patients. These are things that are miracles to have this happen. And they're, we're bringing all our medicines, again, because of tariffs, we're bringing all our medicines. If you remember,
Yeah, JDH.
where during COVID, we made almost no medicine.
Oh my God,
here. We had to
SoCal,
go
you're
to
so
China,
right.
We had to go to Ireland, we had to go to other places, UK, to get our medicine. We didn't make it here. Now we're making it, we'll soon be making it all here, again, because of tariffs. And my election, but because of
Right,
tariffs.
Jay Shadow. And then you
For
got to
years,
wake up, right, Jay
politicians
Shadow,
have
which is
talked about
unfortunate.
making healthcare affordable, but my administration is actually doing it. Americans deserve the best healthcare in the world, and we're now getting the best healthcare at the lowest price.
Really? Are
So
we?
I'd like to
Are
ask
we?
somebody who's doing a
Let's
fantastic
let me ask the
job,
chat.
Secretary
Do we feel we're
Kennedy,
getting the best
to
health care
say
at
a
the
few
lowest
words,
cost in the
followed
world?
by Dr. Oz,
What do we
Dr.
think?
Klump, and then Eli Lilly, CEO David Ricks, and Novo Nordisk CEO Mike Dustar. These are incredible stars in that business.
Yeah,
think Mike
JDH, he is.
Dustar
It appears that he's
is a
just
big
talking about
star.
negotiating some lower
And I
drug
can tell you
prices.
that David Ricks is
Right,
one of the
exactly,
hottest
Robert, right?
people in
He's
the world
negotiating
in
some lower
business,
drug
but,
prices with these companies
the
that
business
he's
in
announcing.
is, pharmaceutical, and the job he's done with Eli Lilly
Yeah,
is
Doug.
incredible. Both of these gentlemen, they really are
yeah,
stars in the
Drusilla.
truest sense. And it's an honor to have you in the White House. And
God.
go to it, Bobby.
Yeah, anything
Thank
to
you, Mr.
distract from it.
President.
And folks, again, I know I started really early. I just saw that he was on. I'm kind of watching this because I want to see what his mood is like after the last few days. He seems a bit down, which is good. We haven't heard much from him apart from some whining. So this might not be a terribly interesting announcement, but it's interesting to see what his mood is like and such. Yes, Louise, absolutely. Okay. Yep. Yeah, you're right, Elliot. That's a good point, Elliot. They're actually going to be boosting premiums for about 20 million Americans. Good point. He does sound pissy, doesn't he? Oh my God, SoCal, you know the references that I like. Okay, yes, just like Elphaba. Okay. All right. So let's see what RFK has to say here.
I want to start by thanking you, Mr. President, for declaring war on chronic disease in this country. This is something no American president has ever done. If we want
love
to
the
solve
war
the chronic
rhetoric in this
disease
country, don't we?
crisis, we have to
War on
tackle
drugs,
it.
war on
Obesity.
terror, war on whatever.
Obesity is the #1 driver of chronic disease. 50% of our adult population are obese or overweight, and it drives about 50% of healthcare costs in this country. Diabetes, cardiac diseases, we are going to see a decline because of this historic agreement.
Brian Moxon.
We're going to see a decline in costs, but also, more importantly, in the afflictions themselves.
Yeah, apparently so, Cal.
President Trump is the
Almost,
friend
Drusilla.
of the forgotten American. Obesity is a
Did you hear
disease
that?
of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth. At one point, the majority
Absolutely,
of prescriptions,
Elliot.
the highest
Absolutely.
concentration of prescriptions in this country was the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And what about the people who live in rural areas, who live in food deserts? What about the people in urban areas who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity and are locked into that
Yeah,
system
maybe
where
so,
they can
Cal.
only get ultra-processed foods, which are aggravating the
Now,
problem.
is it just me or has
This
Dr.
will be a
Oz
lifesaver to
aged
them.
significantly?
It's not a
This
panacea.
is him. This is
It's
Dr.
not a
Oz in
silver
the middle
bullet.
back here.
President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease, and we're doing that. We're about to release dietary guidelines that are going to change the food culture in this country. They're going to change the kind of food the military gets.
There you
They're
go,
going to
Drusilla.
change the kind of food that our children get. We're releasing those
Right,
in
Demosthenes.
December. The Presidential Council for Physical
Right,
Fitness
Demosthenes.
is going to get more Americans into,
You know what,
particularly our
SoCal, you're
children,
right. You're actually
into
right.
physical activity.
He doesn't
so
have the
that we
makeup
can
artist.
attack the
Good
root
point.
causes of this. But in the meantime, there's nothing more important than we can do than lower this price. As I said, it is the number one cost of all drugs. This is the biggest drug in our country. That's why this is the most important of all the MFN announcements we've made. This is going to have the biggest impact on the American people. All Americans,
It's always
even
the
those
biggest
who are not
impact,
on
no matter what
Medicaid
they
and
announce,
Medicare,
right?
are going to be able to get the same price for their drugs, for their GLP drugs. This happened because of the vision of David Ricks, of Mike Dustar, and the other people, and the people on our team who
Absolutely,
figured out a
Robert.
way
I remember that.
to align the interests of the shareholders of their company with the health of the American public. And it is a momentous accomplishment.
Guys, just
It
think
took
about that.
months and months of negotiation.
Think about that. He says they were able to align the interests of these companies' shareholders with the health of the public. Why do we have to do that? Why do we have to fight to align the interests of these companies with the health of the American people? Shouldn't it be a given that the health of the American people comes first? Like, he makes it sound like a good thing, but doesn't that really highlight how effed up our system is? That, well, we got to balance out the profit-seeking motive of these companies with the health of the country. Insane. Yeah, Trump failed.
Negotiations. And I had a wonderful conversation with Mike Dustar about his experience.
Hard to
And
listen to.
He thanked me for the caliber of people who are on our side of the negotiating team. Chris Klump, who walked away from $1 billion business in order to join this administration.
Oh, God.
Emma
Okay, shut
Hernandez,
up.
David Brooks, and of course, Dr. Oz and Marty McGarry, who made this happen. They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game. The Biden administration tried to solve this problem unsuccessfully, I might add, by throwing $40 billion at it. And they were
Yeah,
able
he
to
is
achieve an
Demosthenes.
agreement that will actually create savings for the American public. So we're making all of this available at a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. And the savings that we get from that are now going to make it available to people who do not have diabetes. People who have a BMI
Is any of this
27
written into
above,
law, or did they just get a
or
verbal agreement from
pre-diabetic,
these
or have
companies?
heart disease risks, they will be able to get it, but everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change.
Absolutely,
We will
SoCal.
lose the
Absolutely.
American public, because of this agreement, will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. It is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country. And I want to thank
too, Demosthenes.
President Trump for his
Drusilla,
leadership.
I
He
hope
said
it's
that
not
I got
long.
a lot done as HHS secretary, but almost none of that is due to my ability. It's because I'm surrounded by people who are smarter than me, who are more able than me, and those people came into the administration because they were inspired by President Trump. People like Chris
Right,
Klump are
Portland?
here
Right.
because they see this.
Welcome, Portland.
Yeah.
You know,
Believe me, they're a lot smarter than I am.
God, here we go. Portland, I suspect that about a third of the country are in straitjackets, in my opinion. So yeah, probably about a
It
third of
is true,
people do believe it.
unfortunately.
Maybe a little more. I don't know.
But I want to thank you, Mr. President, because you've made me a success here by allowing me to attract
that's
these
a good point.
extraordinary people.
Trump failed.
And I want to again thank David
God,
Ricks,
guys, here
who
we go.
We've been in this whole office
get a
again
room.
and again. You keep saying he's the smartest guy in industry, that he could talk a dog off a meat truck. But it came to the table.
Yeah,
And
well,
Mike
Louise, brown
Newstar told me,
nosing.
he said,
His nose is deep inside of Trump's.
20 years that it was okay.
Well,
for
that'd be
Europe to pay
inappropriate for me to say on
$10
stream.
and for America to pay $140. That's why they make 45, 50 million a year. He did. Finally, I said, I've had it, right? You did. He did. But anybody can do that, and they're entitled. But now it's
Meanwhile, people
down
are
to
starving.
what it should be.
Hey, Lane.
and Mike Newstar told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart, who had common sense, who were able
Oh
to
my
put
God, why are
themselves
we
in
doing
his
this circle?
position
Lane
and
insanity.
hammer out this deal that is
Yes,
good
the
for
derriere,
everybody.
right, Robert?
And it's great for the American public. I want to close again by
Yes,
just saying,
yes, Louis,
this
that's a better
is a
one.
tool
The
that's okay.
derriere,
It is
the
not
keister.
a
There we go,
silver
Louise.
bullet.
Yes.
It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who are
Thank you
locked
for helping
into
me,
high-risk obesity
Be more
to
appropriate
finally
on stream,
lose
everyone.
weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity.
Right,
I want to
SoCal,
thank
right.
these extraordinary CEOs for sticking with us on this, for allowing us to make this happen. Mike Newstar said to me,
Oh my God,
he
it's so
said,
painful to
"We've known
listen
we've
to."
had to do this for many years. We just haven't been able to get over the edge, and that this President Trump's order, his executive order, was the catalyst to do something that
Here
we
we go.
always knew needed to be done." So again, thank you for your vision, for your commitment. And
Oh,
thank
Trump,
you to
trust
all the
me. I think
CEOs and
most of
all
you
my
know I
team
do have the gumption
for
to
making
cuss.
this
I just
historic
try to
agreement
avoid it
happen.
during the day. I try to do it at the late night
No.
streams, which, by the way, folks, if we
As I
get 10
said,
super chats for $50, I'll do a late night stream, okay?
Tylenol that,
I've been trying to be better about that. Trump
I
fails.
don't think he's changing.
I'm not going to change until the science changes, and the science does not look like it's changing. It's getting stronger and stronger every day. What we
You see
recommend
Trump?
is
You see?
that
Oh my God!
mothers,
Trump got
pregnant
so
mothers,
mad. Did you see that?
talk to their physicians that
Well, I'm sorry. Wait, real fast. Look at Trump. He looked so annoyed when
known
Kennedy.
we've had to do this for many years.
I don't know. He looked angry, or either that, or like he was having a brain aneurysm. Let's see here.
Title, but now it's down to what it should be.
And Mike Newstar told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart,
Trump is
who
so-
had common sense, who were
He looks so
able
relaxed,
to put
but, like, in a
themselves
bad way.
his position and hammer out
Like he
this
looks
deal
annoyed
that
and
is
talk-
good for everybody.
Uh,
And it's great for the
Portland.
American public.
Yeah,
I want to
absolutely,
close
Portland,
again
you're
by
right.
just saying that this is a tool that's
Yeah,
okay.
RBB.
It is not a
Okay, I
silver
just wanna-
bullet. It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who
Okay,
are
I just want- I
locked
want you to see
into
his face.
high-risk obesity to finally lose weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity.
Right, Mosnies.
So I want to thank these extraordinary CEOs
Okay.
for sticking with us on this, for allowing us to make this happen. Mike Newstar said to me, he said, "We've known we've had to do this for many years. We
Okay, they
just
don't-
haven't been able to get
They'll
over
show it
the
here in a
edge,
second.
and that this President Trump's
You'll notice,
order, his
yeah, the
executive
ignorance is
order,
crazy. You'll notice,
was the
folks, he makes a
catalyst
comment
to
about
do something
following
that we
science, and
always
Trump
knew needed to be
gives this
done.
very interesting
Well,
reaction.
again, thank you for your vision, for your commitment, and thank you to all the CEOs and all of my team for making this historic agreement happen.
Yeah, that's very true,
You
Drusilla.
doing Tylenol for women that are pregnant?
No, as I said,
Because there were some false reports out about Tylenol that Bobby changed his view. I don't think he's changed.
I'm not going to change until the science changes, and the science does not look like it's changing. It's getting stronger
Okay, never
and
mind.
stronger.
Okay, but still, you saw Trump
Every
looks
day,
kind of
what
like.
we recommend is that mothers,
okay.
pregnant mothers, talk to their physicians. That the mothers of small kids talk to their physicians, and we've advised the physicians.
We're still on the autism stuff, Jesus
thresholds
Christ.
And to reduce the amount of Tylenol that they give to children as much as possible, and only use it when it's absolutely critical.
Thank you.
So we're going to go through some of the deal points, but it does
Oh God, Dr.
make
Oz.
itself clear that the real stake here is the forgotten man. President Trump, I believe
Really?
you won the
Is
election
it-
because
is
you
it
remember
while
the
you're letting
forgotten
them
man.
starve?
You speak to them,
The
they hear you,
quote-unquote
they
forgotten
listen
man?
to you, and he connects well because he actually does things that materially change their lives. Secretary Kennedy spoke passionately,
SoCal.
as
You're
he
right.
always does, about the problems with obesity. And just to put some very fine point numbers on this, obesity itself is responsible for half of all chronic disease.
I'm waiting for one of these guys to go on a fat bashing thing, like just to start bashing fat people, like doing some fat phobia. Like I'm just waiting for him to be like, yeah, the problem with the BA, they're all fat, all these fat people. Like I'm waiting because you can kind of like I've always thought that RFK kind of had that underneath the surface, like he just hates fat people. And then, but like I can imagine Dr. Oz doing the same thing. Anyway,
And definitely generates more than
remember Pete Hegseth getting mad that there were like obese soldiers in the military.
quarter of
Anyway,
all the money we spend out of CMS, the $1.75 trillion that we spend annually.
That's possible,
We need
Doug.
to
That
address
actually
this
is possible.
tempest of dramatically increasing prices for healthcare, and you're not going to do it just by throwing money at the problem. You have to actually literally deal with the causes of the increase in price, and pharmaceutical prices are a part of that. They've been a part of it for a long time, but this president
You're
insisted
totally right, SoCal.
that
He
we
already
address it.
doesn't
In fact,
like
the first
fat
time I
people.
heard this directly from you, sir, was in January at Mar-a-Lago, where he took Secretary Kennedy and myself, Mr. Ricks, who you'll hear from in a second, to dinner, and demanded explanations for most favored nation pricing and what's wrong with it. And there was not a good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America
God.
will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system, and MAHA has the answers. It has obesity management through diet and exercise and sleep and dealing with issues related
Look
to
at that anger
And
in
I
his
want to
eyes.
say it as clear as I can. Obesity is not an absence of GLP-1 drugs. We're all clear on that. But as Secretary Kennedy said, it is an
because they're
arrow
all
in our
lazy.
quiver
That's
that
what
we
he wants
must
to
use
say.
and should use. The MAHA movement means making it easier for the right things to happen, easier for you to be healthy. If you're sitting at home and watching, that's what MAHA means to me. Reducing costs of the #1 most expensive medicine category in our country for Americans does just that. It is as MAHA as it gets. Today's the fourth MFN. President Trump highlighted the first three. Leading U.S. company, leading European company. We've dropped in fertility drugs, so we'll make lots of Trump babies, I'm hoping, by the midterms. But it's really about fairness.
God, please, no Trump
Fundamentally,
babies.
it's fairness
No Trump
in pricing
babies.
to Americans who have been getting ripped off, paying 3 times
If you ever
more
were
than their
pro-abortion,
European
Jesus
counterparts
Christ.
for the exact same product made in the same factory.
Doesn't that
in the
make
same
you like if
bottle,
anyone
in the
here
same
is
packaging.
who's
We shouldn't be paying
pro-life,
3
quote
times more,
unquote?
and we are
Doesn't
no
the
longer
idea
doing
of
that.
Trump babies
Fairness to the
immediately
forgotten
make
man
you
also means dealing with
pro-choice?
the reality that they can afford
Hell, it should be
a
enforced. It shouldn't
life-saving,
even be a
life-changing
choice at that
drug
point.
that
Just get rid of
10% or
the
more
pregnancy,
of
right?
affluent Americans take. But folks without means can't manage it. Secretary Kennedy mentioned New York City. The #1 zip code is the Upper East Side, which is
I mean,
where
I'm
you
not
have
I'm not
property.
pro-eugenics,
And
but
folks who
maybe in
know
that case,
ritzy
if there
areas
were Trump
buy
babies
important
coming,
real estate there
Just kidding.
because those real estate properties are worth a lot there. That should not be the #1 zip code in America for purchasing GLP-1 drugs. It
You're
speaks to
totally,
the fact
Robert.
that we have an innately unfair system that penalizes folks who can use these medications the most. Folks
Totally,
from the Rust
Jonas.
Belt. Now, what he's
Guys, it's interesting. A lot of the folks in chat that are not in the United States have been actually, I think Drusilla, Jonas, et cetera, have been commenting on the food standards in the United States, which are horrific. And we almost never talk about it here. But a lot of other countries, people in those countries can obviously see that our food standards are awful because the food standards, for example, in Europe are much better in a lot of ways. So it's not just about the drugs. The drugs are pushed largely because the pharmaceutical companies make money off them, and they are important, but there's also food standards that need to be considered. We need more regulations, et cetera.
to do, the right thing to do for your health is right there, but you can't
Totally,
afford to
Jonas.
get it. Folks need to be able to utilize these life-saving medications, and being fair about its distribution is essential. And we are democratizing access to these medications and dealing with a moral imperative.
Are you?
To make sure that all Americans have access to avoiding all the obesity-related complications by making sure they can afford, if they do things right, not just MAHA appropriate
If they do things
interventions,
right,
but also
okay.
medications like this. In fact, we think these deals, and this part's very important, we believe these deals within 2 years, by the time the ink dries on these contracts that were signed earlier today, within 2 years,
Spilled some
based on our
tea.
health improvements, we will be budget neutral. These drugs will not cost us money. The
Oh,
American
is it?
taxpayers
Okay,
will be getting their
hilarious.
money back. That's how important it is for us to reduce the
Jonas,
cost
so true.
of healthcare in this country, especially when it's due to preventable problems like obesity. In addition, we have an update, Secretary Kennedy. We thought it was 125 million pounds. Mr. President, our estimate, based on the company
It
numbers
is.
as well, is Americans will lose
Blah, blah, blah.
135 billion pounds by the midterms. But I don't measure it in pounds. I measure it in saved lives. People can sleep again because they can breathe as when they go to bed.
Yep,
Folks
Louise.
whose knees don't hurt. People who don't have heart attacks, renal failure, dementia, all the things we know are associated with obesity and much more. This wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the right tools. And had the ability of the team that has been
you're right,
spoken of
Soka.
earlier.
I
So
think before I said
Abe
2
Sutton.
years, I
He
was
leads, he's in the
completely
back
off. I
right
don't know
there.
why I said
He leads
that.
the CMS
Yeah,
Innovation
midterms are less
Center
than a
and
year
made
away.
the deal possible. And they are announcing
They're not going to
today
be able
a
to
new
accomplish
model,
that. So,
a brand new model aimed at getting to the vulnerable populations amongst us these medications. The forgotten man will be able to afford these drugs now. Governors will be thanking President Trump. They should be calling directly, sir, because they're going to be able to afford Medicaid
Oh my God. Okay.
next
So,
year
folks, by the way,
in ways
for those that are here,
unimaginable, and they will
I
stop
came on really
crowding out
early just to
education and other
watch
civil
this. So
services.
I know it might
We
not be
cannot
very
be
entertaining,
a
but we're
wealthy
just going to
nation
get through it.
without being a healthy nation. That's why today's MFN deal is a historic step forward for all America.
Just to watch
and
the
this is
bootlicking.
something that I don't think is partisan. There is no way you can argue against what just happened. These numbers to my side here, Dexter's,
They're all doing the
Administrator
bootlicking,
Gary
aren't they?
has been instrumental in this process as well. $1,350 baseline. Chris Klump will go through the numbers, but just focus on that 245, which is what he's going to point you to. And Chris Klump has been an unbelievable leader, an innovator. You've heard his name before. He's spoken here before, but he is continuing to change the face of CMS, and I love the fact that with his leadership, we're bringing a lot of wonderful people in.
Absolutely, Jonas.
John Brooks,
And yeah,
as well,
there's
and many
also a link,
others, including
Jonas,
Beth Kelly,
with poverty
who runs
when
the
it comes
legal
to
issues around these issues, because these
these
guys are
things.
barracudas, Mr. President. They will take you down, slice you in little bits. And that Howard's been there. It's no longer happening. You've got sharp folks. We're open for business. It's a generational opportunity to serve, and people are showing up. God bless you. Let me introduce now Chris Klump, who is just makes my life easier every day. I'm so proud of him.
Okay. So I'm a little behind on here. I want to move ahead. I want to see if there's any questions for Trump, especially. It doesn't look like there will be. I think we get the general idea here. Yeah, we get the general idea. Okay, so that's that. Oh my God. Oh, wait, something happened. Something happened. Someone passed out. Someone passed out. Wait. Who passed out? Someone passed out.
Neutral way to fund the new indications for taxpayers.
Did you see that? Don't worry, we'll
That's
see here in a
amazing,
second.
and that happens
Someone is
inside of
passing
that same
out
24-month
at the press
period.
conference.
It's cost neutral. We're spending the money more wisely. But second, this isn't just about lower drug prices for Americans, though it does do that. But together with physical
I
activity,
hope it's Trump. I don't
with
think it is
healthy
Trump, though.
eating and diet,
Yeah,
and
I don't
where
think it was Trump,
appropriate,
but
the use of breakthrough GLP-1s. The real return on investment is healthier Americans, lower chronic disease, lower costs. We estimate by tens of billions of dollars a year.
Right.
And most importantly, higher productivity.
I don't know. We'll find out,
Today
guys.
is about freeing Americans.
Yeah, Matt
from
Saigai,
the
just because
weight,
this started,
literally
so
and figuratively.
this started, so I
that
just
holds us
decided to start
back.
early to watch this. I wanted to
It's about
see
unlocking the
how
potential
Trump is
of
feeling, see
every
what his mood is
citizen
like after
to
the massive
live
defeats.
fully, to contribute fully, and to
That's
find
true,
joy
Demosthenes.
in their health. We cannot reach our full potential as a nation if we do not reach our full potential as individuals. And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Thanks to Nova and Lily for showing up.
All these wealthy people who think that they have insight into the human condition. Okay.
In particular, thanks to you, Mr. President, for again demonstrating that you fight for every American, this time for potential. It's now my sincere pleasure to first introduce Dave Ricks from Lilly and then Mike Dusto from Nova.
Great. Thank you, Chris.
Someone's about to pass out.
It's truly an honor
Okay, I'm going to go forward a bit so we get to the, I don't want to say fun because we don't know what happens.
to
Okay, here we go.
high-value jobs. But today, we...
Oh!
Gordon, you okay? Yeah.
Oh, no. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, they just kicked out the press. Okay, that's why it ended earlier than I thought it would. Yes, this is live, Robert. Now, admittedly, I paused it briefly. So, yeah. Okay, so now they're back to waiting outside. But they just kicked the press out while they're dealing with this incident. This guy, but you got to, yeah, it's unfortunate. Oh my God. Okay, you got to admit though, obviously, whatever's going on with the guy, unfortunate, right? Poor guy. Regardless, it is kind of funny. Okay, God, I'm a horrible person. It is kind of funny for this to happen at a health conference, right? It's, as a jester, I just see I see the comedy and the dark comedy, and like it's supposing to be like, and it's supposing to be a conference on American health, and like almost the symbolism of a guy passing out while he's there. So the irony is there. I feel bad for the guy, but it is kind of ironic. Okay, so yeah, no, yeah, SoCal, please don't get me wrong. Like I do feel I feel bad for the guy, like he's having, but all right. Yeah, just some random guy passed out. Right, right, Robert. He wasn't obese. Okay. So all right, poor guy. Let's hope he's okay. And maybe they'll come back on and there'll be questions. Okay. Uh, Stream started. Okay, stream ended 22 minutes ago, it says. Oh, that's weird. Oh. What? Okay. Oh, started 22 minutes ago. Okay, so we will see. All right. So I think that's probably the end of it for today. We'll see if there's a different stream that they might come back on, but I don't think they will. Okay, so there we go. All right. Well, that was kind of a fun ending, not for that poor guy. All right. So, okay. I mean, it's unfortunate it wasn't Trump. Anyway, so that is true, SoCal. Like, I wonder if it was the odor from Trump's body or something. Like something. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. I'm gonna just quickly double check to see if we missed anything here and make sure it's not coming back on anywhere. Yeah, it looks like it has been turned off on all channels. So it is likely not going to come back on. Oh, here's the Senate doing absolutely nothing for anyone. Okay. All right. That's a lie. They're doing something for their donors. Maybe, Mithril, maybe. Uh, I do care, Matt Saiga. I care, okay? I do care. Okay. Yeah. Hey, it's okay, SoCal, right? We all know that we feel bad for this guy, okay? We feel bad for that guy. Does that mean that we can't find irony in the situation? No. We can definitely find irony. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Louise, I care, just not about him specifically, if that or like Trump or okay, anyway. All right. So I also care a lot more about the people who are starving right now in the United States, or who don't have access to health care, probably because that CEO is part. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll stop. I know. I'm sorry, Matt's eye guy. I know. Okay. Okay. Whew. Whew. I'm getting a bit worked up. Okay, so hello, folks. We if it comes back on, we will find out very quickly, and we will see if the orange Mussolini or the mango Mussolini has to answer questions. I doubt he will, because he's a little baby and he won't want to answer questions. But so if it comes back on, we'll find out.
Doesn't want to worry about the 42 million people that are not getting SNAP benefits. The Capitol Police that
look, it's Rick
protecting us
Scott.
that aren't
Gotta
getting paid.
love Rick
These people
Scott.
have mortgages and they already get paid.
Oh, thank you, Matt Saiga. Thank you.
So,
Thank
Mr.
you.
President.
All right. So, okay. So we got some other stuff to talk about. I'm going to put my face back up. So for those that just got here, I did start very early today because I saw that this was going to go live. And I really wanted to check in on Trump's emotional state, given his pretty bad losses the last few days. And he seems a bit pissy. I wonder why. Great news, by the way, all those victories we had a couple days ago. Great news. Second of all, if you are 1 super chat, I'll put on the jester hat. 3 jester collar. 5 jester makeup. 7 will do a Q&A, and if we get to 10, I will do a Jester After Dark stream. We can also get to 50. If we get to 50, that's great. Also, if you're over on Twitch, please subscribe or follow. You can subscribe for free if you have Amazon Prime. And if you're over on YouTube, you can help support me by becoming a member for as little as 99 cents a month, and then you get access. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ivana. Okay. You also get access to exclusive members only emojis and a jester hat next to your name. As you can see, we have a lot of originals in here who have gold jester hats next to their name. Ooh, how cute, how amazing. Okay. So feel free to do that. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Mithril. Okay. All right. So we saw that kind of ended in a what is it called? A bit of a calamity, I guess you could say. Regardless, we'll keep an eye and see if Trump comes back on. On that note, though, we have some other things to talk about. I know I'm starting early. Forgive me. I was hoping that would last longer so that it'd be about 1:30 by the time I started the other stuff. Regardless, we are here now. Hey, we're here. And So we're going to do a presentation on the 30 Years' War. We also will be doing some reactions, talking about the news as we normally do. Okay. A lot of crap going on in the country, if you didn't know, and around the world, if you didn't know. Um, we might even do a reaction to another PragerU video if the time is right. We actually could do that now, technically. So that's what we're going to be doing, folks. What I'm going to do real fast is I am going to be right back. I want some more tea, so I'm going to go put some water on the thing. So I'll be right back, folks. This will also give a couple of people to get a chance to get in here since I'm starting so early. Please bear with me. I'll be right back. And probably like in 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we'll get started into some of the other things we got going. Okay. All right. 1 sec here. All right, all right, all right. So I just put on some water. It's boiling. It's going to be boiling here in a few moments. So I'll have to run back up, but I got the tea going. So what we're going to do, folks, we have a couple things that we could do. You know what? Let's do this first. Let us start our presentation now, and then maybe after that let me see, folks. I was not expecting to go this early. Let me see what we got here. We could just do one of the PragerU videos real fast. Trying to see here. Where did I put this crap? Let's see here. Gotta find it. All right.
Who says socialism doesn't work?
All right. Let's just okay. This one is
the second the tweet went out, I was
let's do this one. So this one is this isn't really going to be a reaction. I just kind of wanted to watch it with all of you. So this lady okay. Do I really want to do this right now? No, I don't. I don't want to do this right now. We'll start the presentation. I'm sorry, folks. I'm kind of deciding what to do. Okay, we'll do this. We'll do the presentation. Okay. All right. For those that are here, please hang around. I know not everyone enjoys the presentations, but that is sort of a mainstream of what we do here. So we're going to do the presentation. Then after that, we'll do more reactions. We'll do some we'll react to some PragerU things. et cetera, et cetera. Now, I'm going to need to briefly take a break at some point to go get that tea I'm making, but we will start this. Okay, so this is going to be a presentation on something called the 30 Years' War. Now, for people in chat that are from Europe, you have almost certainly heard about this. It's a really well-known event for Europeans, at least. Most of the time, it's included in European education. I'm not quite sure where in Europe. There might be some places where it's not talked about as much, but most Americans don't know anything about this or know very little about it. And yet, it was a very important event that some historians called World War Zero because it was so catastrophic and massive. Yeah, okay. I didn't learn about it until I was in grad school, and then I had to read like a book that was this thick about it because it's a very confusing event. Um, and it lasted 30 years. It was in Europe. Uh, and So let's talk about it. I titled this "The 30 Years' War: The Four Horsemen." Technically, there's only three horsemen in this case, but you'll see. All right. And while we're talking about this, okay, few things. One, why am I talking about this event? One, because we have talked before about how ideology, right? So, like religion, worldviews, superstructural things, okay, are typically reinforced power structures, right? And a lot of the time, uh, things will appear, historical events will appear to happen because of ideology, right? So, like, will appear to happen because of ideology. So, a lot of people would say that this war was about religion, okay? Um, but I'm trying to show you while you watch this, was this really about religion? Okay, or was religion sort of an excuse or an ideology that was used to reinforce power structures and to allow these different people to fight each other because they wanted to already? So it's just that's a really good point, Mithra. That's a very good point. Okay, so think about that while we're listening to this. Also, uh, think about uh, how history is written, because you're going to see there was a lot of art produced because of this, and a lot of it's very biased. It's really hard to have good sources on this stuff because depending on what side you were on, changes it. Okay, and also just think generally about the role of religion in society. Uh, uh, okay. And also try to think about why we don't talk about this much in the United States. Okay. Why? And I don't know the answer to that, but it was a very important event. Okay. So here we go. Let us begin. So, to understand this war, which lasted for 30 years, okay, you have to understand something called, exactly, Meowser, okay? You have to understand something called the Protestant Reformation, which was this very important split that occurred within Christianity. And I'm going to be oversimplifying here, folks, but in 1517, a guy named Martin Luther went to basically a cathedral and he pinned a document called the 95 Theses on that cathedral, which was criticizing the Catholic Church. And admittedly, the Catholic Church had been up to some shenanigans, okay? The Catholic Church had been doing something called indulgences, where you would have to pay a priest to have your sins forgiven. Okay. So you'd have to pay priests to be forgiven of your sins. There was a lot of corruption in the Catholic Church. A lot of the popes had been pretty badly corrupt, like pretty badly corrupt. If you look up the Borgias, okay, a lot of times popes would be elected by how many cardinals they could bribe. And there were a lot of other things going on inside the Catholic Church that was deeply concerning to a large segment of Europe's population. Including also the fact that because of the printing press, a lot of Europeans could now read and they could now read the Bible. And the Catholic Church didn't like that because they wanted people to only listen to what priests said the Bible said. So suddenly people could actually read the Bible. So there were a lot of things that were going on here. Okay. And what ended up happening is you see a split in Christianity between Roman Catholics, again, I'm oversimplifying here, and Lutherans. That was the first split. Lutherans who did not believe in the Pope, okay, who wanted to separate from the Catholic Church, did not want to be involved at all in the Catholic hierarchy, thought that people could find God on their own terms, by reading the Bible themselves, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then also out of that came another group called the Calvinists, who didn't think that religion. Yeah, I know, right, Drusilla? There was less civil war there, Drusilla. Anyway, where the Calvinists thought that religion shouldn't be involved in government at all. They also believed, a lot of them believed in something called, not Calvin Klein, okay, something predestination. The idea that basically people are born and they're already predestined to go to heaven, and there's only certain people that have been predestined to go to heaven. It doesn't really matter what you do. But to show that you're predestined, you have to be godly, which would prove that you're one of the people predestined to go to heaven. Okay. Regardless, there were these three groups, and they did not like each other. Romans, Catholics hated Lutherans and Calvinists. Lutherans didn't like Roman Catholics, and they despised Calvinists. And Calvinists didn't like either of them. Like, they didn't like each other. And on this map here, there was you can see here that in the purple are the places that ended up basically becoming Lutheran. The blue, Scotland, the Netherlands, little pieces of land in the German area, and then there were also some folks in France called the Huguenots, who were Calvinist. And it was a split. Okay, Europe kind of split into these camps of these different religions. Okay, different Christian sects. So that brings us to this, and they did not like each other. And like I said, the Catholic Church did everything they could to try and stop this. They burned people at the stake who were called heretics, but over time they just could not stop the spread of Lutheranism and Calvinism. Okay, all right. So this brings us to the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire. Later, by the way, Voltaire would say that the Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire, and that's very true. So here's a map of it. It is a mess. Okay, it's modern day Germany and some parts of other countries that were around Germany, but at the time, this is the Holy Roman Empire. It was made up of over 300 states, like some of them very small, like little principalities, little bishoprics, little free cities, all of which had their own government. They were not united, and they were all kind of conglomerated together underneath this thing called the Holy Roman Empire, which in theory was in control of them, but wasn't at all. They were all separate entities, and it was a mess. I mean, look at this. Look at this map. Okay. And basically, there would be an emperor who was elected to rule over all of them, even though he didn't really rule over them. They were still independent. And they would be elected. There were certain states that were electors who could choose who the next emperor was. And the most powerful of all the states here was Austria, which is in yellow. You can see down here, yellow. This land over here was owned by the Austrian Archduchy. And this was the most powerful state in the Holy Roman Empire. And almost always the leader of the Holy Roman Emperor would be selected from the Austrians. And the family that was sort of the most powerful family in this regard were the Habsburgs, which were the ruling. I know this is confusing, bear with me. The Habsburgs, who were the ruling family basically of Austria, they also controlled Spain. They were a very powerful royal family. Okay. So the Habsburgs were, the emperor was typically chosen from the Habsburgs. Okay. All right. We got that. Now, I promise this is going somewhere. Okay. Here we have on the right. Yeah. Okay. Here we have on the right, this guy right here, which although is pretty, he has a lot of drip in the armor he's wearing. I'm not sure how useful it would be in battle. It might be. This is Charles V, who was an extremely powerful emperor who ruled Spain, ruled Austria, ruled the Netherlands, ruled huge chunks of Europe at the time. Okay. If you see a map, I don't know if I put a map of how much he ruled. No, I didn't. But this guy controlled a lot. Okay. The Habsburgs had done a really good job of marrying into families. I know, right, Robert? And folks, if you noticed his jaw, there was an issue with the Habsburgs called the Habsburg chin, because they were so inbred from all the times that they would sleep with family members that over the generations, their chins got longer and longer and more prominent. And you can kind of see it in this image. They were deformed because of all the inbreeding. I'm not even joking. Okay. So, all right. So after all this, the fighting that was going on across Europe and in the Holy Roman Empire, because of this change in religion, the Holy Roman Empire was officially Catholic. Okay. Um, uh, basically this emperor, Charles V, signed something called the Peace of Augsburg, with all the Lutherans, okay, because they were fighting each other. There were inquisitions going on, okay, and it created this principle. This happened in 1555, and this was the principle. Cuius regio, ius religio, which meant whose realm, his religion. So it basically said that for all these little states inside the Holy Roman Empire, the ruler of those states could decide the religion of the state. Okay, so the emperor didn't get to decide if you were Catholic or Lutheran. The individual rulers decided what they were. Okay, but this was problematic because for the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, the presence of these Lutheran states weakened the Habsburg power. Okay, they didn't have as much control over them. The Catholic Church couldn't extract tithes and taxes from them. And another issue here was that a lot of these Lutheran and Calvinist states had actually seized all the church's property, um, and taken it from the church to enhance their own wealth. Honestly, the Catholic Church kind of deserved it in a lot of ways, but at the same time, they did get taken from them, which really upset the Catholic Church and upset the Catholics. Okay, but that was the Peace of Augsburg. It tried to settle this dispute between these different religious factions. Okay. All right. And this is the guy who implemented it, Charles. And he implemented it, by the way, because he was having trouble controlling this big empire he had built. So to kind of appease the non-Catholics, he did this. Okay. So by 1608, a majority of the imperial diet, which is like this governing body, again, I know this is confusing, of the Holy Roman Empire, decided that that they were going to renew the Peace of Augsburg, but it would be conditional upon all the Protestants, so all the Lutherans and Calvinists, returning all the church land that they had seized. And because there were more Catholics in this body than Protestants, it was probably going to pass. And you can imagine the Protestants weren't happy about this. So here you go here. This is, and because in response to this, these states, which I will not name for the sake of clarity because it's already confusing enough, in blue in the Holy Roman Empire, joined something called the Protestant Union, where they basically pledged to defend each other if any one of them was attacked. We'd also give them a united front against the Catholic states. And here on the right is the actual document they signed forming the Protestant Union. In response, the Catholic countries, states, signed created something called the Catholic League, which was an alliance of Catholic states to defend themselves against the Protestants if necessary and to restore Catholicism as the main religion of the empire. I will say, I really like this. They actually made a flag, and the flag here is on the left. It's the Virgin Mary with like a sun around it, and then the Bavarian flag in the background. I just think it's kind of a cool flag. Relevant. I'm not siding with anyone. I'm just saying, cool flag. And then on the right here is a painting at the time of these Catholics signing this accord to defend each other. Look how pious they all are, all bowing and praising to God and things like that. You can tell. Can we guess did a Catholic or a Protestant make this image? Let's guess. Let's see what the chat says. Do you think a Catholic or a Protestant made this image of the Catholics doing it? Hello, Dolly Boy, by the way. Did I miss anyone? No, you did not, Matt Saiga. You did not join the Reform Party, okay? While I'm waiting for someone to tell me if this is a Catholic or Protestant image, if we get 1 super chat, I'll put on the jester hat. If we get 3, I'll put on the collar. 5, the makeup. 7, if we get 7, I'll do a Q&A. And if we get 10, we will do a Jester After Dark stream, okay? All right, no one answering. Okay, that's okay. So, Catholics made this image. You can tell. It's like making out the Catholics to be extremely pious and stuff. Okay, so now we have an issue. We have a Protestant Union and a Catholic League who hate each other, basically resulting in what could be called as a powder keg. There you go, Meowzord, okay? this created a powder keg where like the HRE was on the edge of just erupting into violent religious conflict at any point. Okay. Um, okay. And you're going to see this takes a very dark turn. And all right. Okay. So again, work with me here. So this is what ends up happening. Okay. Within the Holy Roman Empire, there's a state called Bohemia, which is modern day Czech Republic. Okay. And the ruler was a king, a Habsburg king named Ferdinand II. And he was a very, very, very hardline Catholic, like very hardline, hated Protestants, would execute, torture, and imprison anyone who he didn't like who was Catholic. Very unpleasant guy. Okay. Very hardline Catholic. Okay. And he ruled over Bohemia. Now, the nobles of Bohemia were very religiously diverse and they were fiercely independent for a number of historical reasons, which, for the sake of clarity, I won't go into. Just know a lot of them were Protestant and they had a long history of resisting Catholic rule and Habsburg rule. And he was appointed head of Bohemia. And after he was appointed king of Bohemia in 1617, he canceled all of the concessions that had been given to the Protestants there. He started going around demolishing Protestant churches, burning them to the ground, and he generally discriminated against non-Catholics in Bohemia. Here's an image of him on the right. He was a monstrous human being who really liked slaughter and thought that he was this religiously righteous angel. Okay. If anyone here has ever been to Catholic school and you had that one nun or that one priest who was like, viewed themselves as like the, God's right-hand man who is like an angelic force that could do no wrong. That's what this guy was. Or if anyone has ever watched Hunchback of Notre Dame, Judge Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, this is who this guy was. Okay, anyway, all right. So he did that in Bohemia. He famously, by the way, said, I would rather rule over a desert than a country of heretics. Freiman's like, okay, I would rather rule over a desert than a country of heretics. And boy, did he do his best to turn any country of quote unquote heretics into deserts. Okay. Really unpleasant guy. All right. So this was a spark. This was a big time spark. All right. You're going to see here. Okay. So after he started oppressing the Protestants in Bohemia, angry Protestant Bohemian nobles confronted Catholic officials over these religious and political tensions. Okay. And these officials, I love this story. It's funny to me. Okay. So these officials basically ambushed a bunch of Catholic Habsburg officials who were in Bohemia. And they took these two imperial governors and their secretary, and they threw them out of a window out of this castle. Okay, in what is called the Defenestration of Prague. There were multiple, weirdly enough, defenestrations of Prague, but basically, defenestration means being thrown out of a window. They threw these guys out of a window as an act of rebellion and disrespect to these officials. Amazingly, they survived the fall. It was a pretty high up fall. I don't even remember how high up they were, but they survived shockingly. Now, they broke some bones and stuff, but they survived. And here's where it gets funny, okay? So if you read Catholic accounts of this incident, because these were Catholic officials, the Catholic account said that angels swooped down and saved them as they were falling, which is why they didn't get hurt. If you read Protestant accounts of it, the Protestants say, well, the reason that they didn't die was because they fell into a heap of poop. They literally fell into a pile of manure, which is what cushioned their fall. Can we believe either of these? No. But isn't that funny? Okay, there you go, Mithra. Isn't that kind of funny? Like the bias obvious there. Oh, they were saved by angels, says the Catholics. Oh, they fell into a pile of shit, okay, says the Protestants. One trying to make them look like angels, one's trying to humiliate them. Okay, here on the right, you have an image of this happening. Let's guess, do we think a Protestant or a Catholic made this image? This is an image of these Catholics being thrown out the window. If you look closely, you can kind of see that the Catholics here look like scared to death. and are really afraid, but like also look kind of dumb. And then there's this proud Protestant. I'm sorry, I've just ruined it. There you go. Okay, this is a Protestant image, really trying to humiliate the Catholics. There you go. Okay, and trying to praise the Protestants. Okay, so again, this is why I like this event. It's because it is interesting to see how both these sides were painting this issue. Okay, well, that given that the ruler of Bohemia at the time was that monstrous human being, okay, Ferdinand, he basically took this as open rebellion amongst the Bohemians, and the Bohemians kind of did launch into an open rebellion. Okay, so Austria, and the Catholic League, which we talked about before, and Spain, which was ruled by the Habsburgs and was Catholic, all rushed to Ferdinand's aid to help put down this rebellion. I know, right? Portland. Okay. I'm an atheist, Portland. So yeah, I know, right? Okay. All these Catholic lords rushed to Ferdinand's aid to support him against this Bohemian uprising. And admittedly, though, at first the Bohemians had great success. They actually laid siege to Vienna, which is the capital of Austria, and they had pretty great early successes. But then things get out of hand, okay? And folks, you're going to see this is where all the shit starts hitting the fan. All the shit starts hitting the fan, okay? So after Bohemia invaded Austria and then Austria's allies started coming to their aid, the Ottoman Empire was like, "Oh, great, they're all weak." So the Ottoman Empire then invades Austria and Hungary. And like a whole mess begins, people invading each other as these things start breaking down, and in the midst of all of this, things get worse. Because right now it's kind of a local conflict. Yeah, a lot of people are getting involved, but it's still kind of isolated. Out of nowhere, the Holy Roman Empire at the time, a guy by the name of Matthias, died, and guess who his heir was? His heir was Ferdinand II, the monster we talked about before. So this guy who really hated Protestants suddenly becomes the emperor of the entire Holy Roman Empire and declares that this revolt against him, his kingship of Bohemia, is a revolt against the entire empire. And the shit hits the fan, because now anyone siding with Bohemia are traitors against the entire empire, and it's no longer a local thing. All right? I mean, Christ. Okay. No pun intended. So things get out of hand. Eventually, Ferdinand was victorious against the Bohemians. There was a big battle. Again, there's a lot of great art from this period. This is a really good image of this thing here. Okay. Eventually Ferdinand was victorious over the Bohemians. Okay. But okay. Yeah, that's something called the Battle of White Mountain. He won, but it was not over, folks, and I'll explain why. So after he put down the revolt in Bohemia, Ferdinand marched his armies against the other Catholics the other Protestants who had come to Bohemia's aid. So he marches his army, here's a map of his marching route, against all the Protestant Union members and started destroying them, looting them, attacking them. Thank you so much, Mithra. We'll put on the jester hat, okay? Okay. And basically expanding the conflict and making it 1,000 times worse. Okay. And again, now, folks, as I've been saying, this is all very confusing. You don't have to follow along exactly with what I'm saying. I'm trying to make a point here. Try to understand how insane this whole thing was and how complicated it was. It's going to be hard to understand how complicated it was and how it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and it wouldn't stop. And it's a very interesting study in a man-made disaster. Okay. So as he did this, he marched against these other Protestant lords. He got really close to the borders of some Protestants in the north of the Holy Roman Empire, especially Denmark. So Denmark suddenly feels threatened, okay, because they're Protestant. So they then invaded the Holy Roman Empire, worried that the Catholics were going to attack them next. So they suddenly invade the Holy Roman Empire. And so in 1625, Christian, the King of Denmark, declares war on the Catholic League. and is eventually defeated. But that's another bit of violence that takes place. Here's an image, and guys, this was horrific. You're going to hear about some of the worst things you've probably ever heard happen in a war later, but here you have an image of them just slaughtering. These are the Danes slaughtering a bunch of Catholic villagers, literally just pulling them out of their houses and slaughtering them. The bloodshed was insane during this war, and you'll see what I mean later. There's a reason why we need to, like, it's called World War Zero. Everyone's slaughtering everyone. Civilians aren't safe. Okay. And this is one of those orgies of violence that I'm talking about. They would often torture the people, Catholic troops and things like that. And by the way, the Catholics did the same thing. No side is innocent. Okay. All right. So as this mess continues, everyone's slaughtering everyone. In 1629, the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, Ferdinand, after he won a bunch, exactly, massacres. Everyone was massacring everyone. Ferdinand basically had victory. I'll go back. I'll go up and get it here in a minute. So Cal turns off automatically. Okay. He was having tons of victory. So the Catholics were winning, and so he signed something called the Edict of Restitution, which demanded that all the property seized from the Catholic Church be returned. He made Calvinism illegal, so no, you're not even allowed to practice Calvinism anymore. And he basically made it clear that Catholicism should be the main religion of the empire. All this did, folks, was pour fuel on the fire, because all the Protestants and Calvinists that weren't involved are now like, okay, well, now we have to be involved because he's trying to ban us completely. It's a mess. All right. And he had formed a large army, and even the Catholic lords were starting to get frustrated because they were losing a ton of money funding this military. He was trying to build for the Catholics. So they actually, the Catholic electors actually voted to start dismantling this military he had created because it was so expensive. But all that did, so they dismantled this military. All that did was then to show the Protestants, oh, great, they're weak now. Let's attack them again. So as soon as they dismantled this military, this Catholic military, the Protestants, led by a very brilliant guy named Gustavus Adolphus, the Swedes from Sweden invaded, okay, the Holy Roman Empire, starting a new phase of the war. And Gustavus Adolphus was a brilliant military commander. You should look him up. Napoleon was partially inspired by his tactics. Great image of him here on the right. He got involved. Now, he says it was because he wanted to defend the Protestants, but he really just didn't want the Holy Roman Empire. He thought the Holy Roman Empire had too much influence, and their victories made them even stronger, and he wanted to prevent them from having more political influence, so he invaded for that reason. Again, as I said, a lot of times religion is used as an excuse for political and economic things, okay? And he famously said, I don't want to hear about neutrality. This is a fight between God and the devil. Another very interesting guy here, okay? And he was a military genius, and even though he didn't have that many forces, he defeated the Catholics over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. He was a military genius. He won multiple victories. And his invasion, though, began a horrific. Yeah, right. Okay. It does go hard. There's a lot of quotes that go hard here. Okay. And by the way, Drusilla, Norway actually sent arms. They were part of the Danish unified crown. They actually sent military and financial aid to the Danes when they had invaded and stuff. They weren't really directly involved, but okay. So his invasion began a horrific period of slaughter and atrocities. Okay. Because, folks, if there's one thing that's true, is that as people are more and more scared of military invasions, people do more and more rash things, and things become more horrifying. Okay. So this is what ends up happening. And here's a content warning. I told you this gets dark. It's going to get dark. Okay. Very big content warning here. For anyone watching who doesn't like to hear about gore or torture, you may not want to listen to this next part. Okay. All right. So just real fast, this is showing his route. This red line here, that was his invasion route. He entered from the north and went all the way down into Bavaria, conquering, defeating the Catholics left and right. Okay. Yeah, real fast. There's some really cool art of Gustavus Adolphus. You can imagine made by Protestants. Here's an image of him landing on the banks of the Baltic River. They're saying a prayer with his troops. Just really cool art, very epic looking. Obviously propaganda, but very epic looking. A bunch of dead Catholics on the ground. Why not? A lot of cool art here. You can see all of his troops bowing their heads, etc. Okay. This is where shit gets dark, okay? It's already dark. A lot of people have died so far. But in response to this Protestant invasion of the north of the empire, there was a city territory in the Holy Roman Empire called Magdeburg. They immediately allied themselves with Adolphus to protect themselves against Ferdinand and the Catholics. And the Catholics got very angry at this. They viewed it as treason. And they immediately stormed Magdeburg. This is a quote from a diary of the mayor of Magdeburg. This is what he says happened. The city was given over to murder, burning, plundering, torture, and beatings. Thousands of innocent men, women, and children were murdered and slaughtered in all sorts of merciless and wretched ways. By 10 o'clock that night, the entire city, along with its beautiful town and all of its churches, lay in ashes. That's not an exaggeration. That is true. There were also infants, toddlers, other people found drowned in barrels of beer. People were thrown into the river that flowed through Magdeburg and drowned to death. People were tortured. There were mass counts of sexual assault against women. All in all, probably around 25,000 people were massacred. That is an underestimate as far as historians know, because the sources are not great, because most of the people died. More people probably died than that. The whole city was destroyed by the Catholics in response to the Protestant invasion. And what do you think this did, folks? All this did was then further enrage the Protestants. And this event, the sacking of Magdeburg, was used as propaganda for the Protestants, and they called for retribution against Catholics. And here's an image of the siege. Here is an image of the siege of Magdeburg. Hey, Mithril. Mithril says, I hate to admit it, and I think it's from my late mom, but I do have an internalized bigotry towards the Catholic Church. I need to work on it. Mithril, for people in Europe especially, that is an issue across Europe, right? There are still a lot of inter-Christian sect tensions in some places, like especially in the British Isles, because a lot of times, like, Catholicism and Protestantism were mixed, and still are mixed with state power. So the actions of those states often then were backed by Protestants or Catholics, especially when it comes to like the British Empire. So I understand it, like it's totally understandable. Okay. All right. So a lot of places in Europe are that way, partially because of this. Okay. I don't mean to be lecturing all you, the Europeans out there know what I'm saying, but for the sake of people who aren't European. Okay. So here we got Magdeburg being laid under siege, another pretty cool image. Here we have an image of them breaking in. You can see them throwing people into the river, the Catholics throwing people into the river, doing all sorts of other horrible conflict. Crap. Okay. All right. So in response to what happened at Magdeburg, this is gross, folks. Again, content warning. The Protestants called for what they called the Magdeburg Mercy, as in, let's show the Catholics the same mercy they showed the people of Magdeburg. And the Swedish forces led by Gustavus Adolphus, began administering something to Catholics they came across, and they called it the Schwedentrunk. Okay, which means Swedish drink. And they would take captured Catholics, and the Swedish drink was the following. They would lay a bound soldier or civilian to the ground, okay, stick a wooden wedge into their mouths, and then forcibly pour into their bellies a bucket, as many buckets as they need. I did, Matt Saigai, a bucket full of manure, liquefied manure, so it'd be mixed with water and other things to make it more liquidy. until the person was so full of the drink that their stomach perforated and they died. And that was called the Swedish drink. It was a way of doing torture, and they did it to God knows how many Catholics, filling their stomachs with manure water until they died. Yeah. Again, content warning. I know I already said it. Yeah, they were inventive, and that goes on all sides here, Mithril, as you can see. You'll see here. Okay. Very inventive in their hatred of each other. And by the way, folks, at this time, there is a thought. So a lot of times when we see images of like, the Spanish Inquisition, or even when Protestants would burn like everyone would burn witches and things like that. The idea of burning someone is, to a lot of Christians, was an act of mercy, because if you torture that person in this life, it'll save them in the next life. I know that's insane. Okay, but just think about how what I was saying before, how religious ideology can kind of be an excuse for the horrible things you want to do to people because you hate people, right? So, yeah, these Protestants were very angry, and then they kind of use the religious excuse of, well, we're just saving them from damnation in the next life by torturing them now. The Catholics did the same thing, okay? Anyway, this is why infrastructure is interesting. Ideology can be used to sort of back up horrible things you want to do already, okay? Um, all right. This slide doesn't have much on it. So eventually here, folks, Gustavus Adolphus, despite his multiple successes, no, Matt Saigai, it was not gender specific. It was not gender specific. As a matter of fact, I've read accounts of it being done to women too. Mainly men, because mostly they would do it to captured soldiers or males, but they would also do it to women. Okay. All right. Although a lot of times they wouldn't do it to the women because they wanted to assault the women. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. Uh, is that so, Portland? It has a Swedish drink. Oof. Okay. The Swedish drink. Okay. So the Empire strikes back. Eventually, Gustavus Adolphus was defeated. The reason he was defeated was because he died in battle. Okay. If he hadn't been defeated, if he hadn't been killed, things may have been different. So at the battle called Lutzen, Adolphus was killed. He accidentally, on a battlefield, folks, I'll show you an image. So on a battle, this is an image of a battlefield at the time. For those that were on the quick stream yesterday, for those that weren't here, it was okay. It was just a quick Twitch stream I did. This was pike and shot. You can see the pike formations and stuff. Look at all this smoke. It's very hard to see when you're shooting at each other with a bunch of gunpowder weapons. And Gustavus Adolphus lost track of where he was. He was on his horse, and he accidentally went behind enemy lines. And as the smoke cleared, he realized, oh shit, I'm surrounded by enemies. And he got shot multiple times and stabbed, and his horse got killed, and he died. Okay. He still won that battle, but without him, the Swedes just didn't have the same military genius, and they started being defeated. And eventually the Catholics were able to sort of push them out of the Holy Roman Empire. And Ferdinand took took that opportunity to retake a lot of the lost territory they had lost from the Swedes. Okay. Here's another great image. Again, a lot of great images from the time. Another Catholic image here. I'm sorry, Protestant image of Gustavus Adolphus dying. He did not look like this when he died. They make it look glorified. He was on the ground bleeding out, but you can see him falling off of his horse. Light coming down and illuminating his body after he's being killed. Okay, and so you're going to see why here in a second. Why at this point they decided to have peace. Remember, this lasted for 30 years, so there's still more to come. But Ferdinand and the Catholic lords, after they kind of pushed back against the Swedes, realized that they would not be able to reimpose Catholic rule. The war had drawn in external powers, including the French, which you're going to hear here in a second, and the Swedes, and caused massive, unsustainable destruction across all their lands, which we'll hear about later. So they implemented something called the Peace of Prague, which re-implemented the idea of whose land who rules, okay, or whose religion who rules. And amnesty was granted to those who had fought. So all that was kind of for nothing. And they banned any internal alliances within the Holy Roman Empire and any external alliances. Well, folks, it wasn't over, because this is where we talk about how power was more important than religion. So on the outside of all this, meanwhile, in France, if Tiago was here, I'm sure he would have some choice words about the French. This guy, the French had been rivals of the Habsburgs, even though they were both Catholic. Okay. The Habsburgs as the Habsburgs began to win the war, and they begun to implement the Peace of Augsburg, okay, or the peace I just mentioned. The French weren't happy with this, because they're like, well, crap, if there's peace in the empire, we won't be able to fight them and take their land, okay? So the French, in order to counter the growing power of the Habsburgs and the Austrians, um, and ensure French domination of the continent, the Catholics, as peace was being worked out, declared war on the Habsburgs, and they came to the aid of the Protestants, even though they were Catholic. Okay. And this effort was led by the fairly brilliant guy named Cardinal Richelieu. This guy right here is Cardinal Richelieu. By the way, if anyone's seen the Three Musketeers or read the book, the cardinal in that book is based off of Cardinal Richelieu. He was brilliant. He was a brilliant politician. He was very corrupt, a brilliant strategist, diplomat and stuff. A very unpleasant guy. Even though he was a Catholic cardinal, he really only cared about French power and stuff. And there's some great images of him. This is an image of him in his war armor, because so he's wearing black armor above his cardinal garb, which is pretty cool. I got to tell you, it looks pretty cool. I just got to say. Now, in this image, he's attacking a Protestant holdout city of Huguenots, and he ends up killing most of them. But anyway, still a pretty epic image of him standing there. Anyway, moving on. So the French get involved, and they end up invading the Holy Roman Empire, and they also invade Spain, because that's ruled by the Habsburgs. So now the war is spreading to Spain, and the bloodshed is starting all over again. Eventually, the French had to slow down. They took a bunch of territory in the Netherlands. The Spanish held them off at a battle. You can see the Spanish right here. Here's an image of the Spanish holding them off from the Netherlands. I'm not going to go too much into this. You get the idea. Okay. Eventually, even that part ended, and now we get to the peace. Okay. So we're almost done here. Work with me. Okay. So after, yep, great, right, Dolly Boy? Just spreading the war all over the place. Okay. So in 1648, they tried to sign another peace called the Peace of Westphalia, which many folks may have heard of before. It's very important for international affairs. Several scholars, actually, of international affairs credit this as one of the principles that are the origins of some of the principles that are crucial to modern international relations. Westphalia guaranteed the right to practice any Christian religion you wanted. Okay, you could be Catholic, Lutheran, or Calvinist, and it didn't. And even if the king of the territory you lived in was one religion, you could still practice whatever religion you wanted. It guaranteed religious liberty. Not all religious liberties, because you could still discriminate against non-Christians, but it basically said, that's it. We're done fighting over Protestantism and Catholicism. You can be Calvinist, you can be Lutheran, you can be Catholic. It doesn't matter who your Lord is, and we can't fight over it anymore. And they also acknowledge Calvinism as an official religion. And the Holy Roman Emperor was weakened, and there was peace. Okay. Here's an image on the right of them signing this deal. And a lot of and by the way, there were also some territories exchanged. France got some territories. Sweden got some territories. There were a bunch of, but it ended. Okay. All right. Last part here. So the war was over. Why did I begin this by saying the four horsemen? I have not told you how disastrous this war actually was. So let's talk about it. The four horsemen. It's actually only going to be three horsemen, because one of them isn't included, which on purpose, but okay, here we go. So the first horseman was war. Why did this become such a big thing? Why was it so destructive? Okay, so I'm going to go to the last page here before I understand this. Okay, this is why it's weird that people haven't heard of this war. It is thought that around 4.5 to 8 million people died during the 30 Years' War. I'm going to let that sink in for a moment. 4.5 to 8 million people. Some historians say it was more than that. Well, this is like Holocaust levels of death and destruction. That's a lot of people, especially for a time where the populations weren't as large as they are now. That is a lot of people dying. Okay. So the 30 Years' War resulted in about 8 million people dying, if not more. Um, and it is estimated that in Germany, or at least in the Holy Roman Empire, about 40% of the population was exterminated. Not great, right? Not great. Not great. Everyone's still there. Y'all can still hear me? Yeah. Yeah, right, Dolly Boy? Pretty bad. The areas of red are thought to have lost over 40%. A lot of people died. Okay, so why? Why was this war so destructive? Why was it so cataclysmic? Let's talk about that real fast. Okay, so the first horseman here was war. Most of the units involved in this war were mercenaries. Mercenaries. Okay, mercenaries. And so part of their contracts were the right to loot. And as the war went on, all these lords that were funding these mercenaries couldn't fund them anymore. And they basically told the mercenaries, well, yeah, you can loot whatever to make up for what I'm not paying you. So from the very beginning, most of the troops fighting would just loot, destroy, burn anything they came across. Okay. And as they lost the ability to pay, the mercenaries got more brutal. Religious dehumanization made this easier. Okay, like Catholic mercenaries had no problem slaughtering Protestant mercenaries, especially Protestants, especially since they were making money off looting them and killing them. Same vice versa. And torture, sexual assault, murder, and arson became common amongst these mercenary groups as they were looting the countryside. As they were angry with death and destruction, and they were exhausted. Okay. And it was often the case that captured cities would be looted for days, literally days after they were captured. Okay. So that resulted in tons of death. The next part of the reason there was so much death was famine. The war just happened to occur during a climactic period called the Little Ice Age, where crops were not nearly as successful. And Also, a bunch of kings and stuff started printing off currency, which made a lot of currency useless. So a lot of people in cities, their currency was useless and they couldn't afford to buy bread anymore or food. Higher taxes were levied to pay for the war, which further reduced the availability of coin to pay for food. Looting resulted in the loss of tons of crops and livestock, so huge parts of the countryside starved to death. Um, Again, another content warning here. People started eating dogs, cats, grass. People would start eating rats. And there were tons of incidents of cannibalism where people began eating each other. And there are some accounts of villages raiding other villages, taking people or children from them and eating them because people were starving so badly. All right. So famine, war. So a lot of people starved to death. And lastly, plague. Okay. Uh, the disease actually killed more people than any of the other things combined. Up until the 19th century, by the way, most deaths in war were caused by disease. Think about that. In most wars, up until the 19th and early 20th century, most deaths in war were caused by disease. Absolutely, Mithril. Okay. Really, Alyssa? Oof, interesting. Okay. And so this is what happened. Okay. As these armies were being drawn together, a lot of the soldiers would come from isolated communities that didn't have the same immunities to certain diseases as people who lived in more populated cities or along trade routes. So, as soldiers came from isolated areas, they would get infected with the diseases that other soldiers had immunities to. Okay. On top of that, these armies, as they moved around Europe, they would poop and stuff into rivers or throw bodies into rivers, which then anyone else coming along to drink from that river would then poison them. Okay, so people would drink water and get cholera. There'd be outbreaks of cholera and diarrheal death. There would be open latrine pits, and these open latrine pits would leak into water supplies, and then any other army coming by would drink that, not knowing it had been the latrine pit or it had been poisoned by feces. On top of that, food would be easily contaminated, and so dysentery was constantly, yeah, Meowsord, without a master, 100%. Okay, um, food would be okay. So all this crap would literally would cause massive disease. On top of that, as these soldiers were moving across Europe, they lived very close with animals. Okay, they would oftentimes live in barns, or they would have horses and other animals that they would take with them on campaign. And those horses and other animals would have lice, okay, which would bite the animal, bite the person, bite another person, go back and bite that person again, bite another animal, which spread two diseases, typhus and the bubonic plague. By the way, rats who were also collecting around these latrines, um, and things like that, and the death would also spread plague, as fleas danced around. So plague became a big issue, spreading around all the time. Bubonic plague often then spread with the armies because as they moved around, these armies would bring the plague with them and spread them everywhere. There were multiple cases of entire villages or cities being depopulated by the plague because so many people had died. Everyone abandoned it because there was no one really left to run the city. Um, and not only that, as people were fleeing these militaries, they fled and they would bring diseases with them to the places they were fleeing to. Okay. I mean, this is a cluster F, right? In one particularly bad instance, a French army of about, I think it had about 20,000 men in it, lost 17,000 troops to the bubonic plague before they even reached their destination. I mean, you got a problem, right? And as all this, and think about it, folks, if you're a Christian living in this time and you've been told that the apocalypse is about to happen, right? They were still getting wrecked by it, Meowsord. It was still very bad quarantine procedures and stuff at the time. They thought it was spread by uh what is it called? Vapors in the air and stuff. They didn't realize, they didn't know. Um, so as all this was happening around them, a lot of people in Europe started thinking that the apocalypse was coming. Okay, that this was a sign of the apocalypse, that the four horsemen were here, right? All this famine, all this war, all this plague. The apocalypse must be here, right? All this suffering. Um, and this made people very paranoid, and it caused a outbreak of witch hunts where people in their paranoia, fear, and hunger would start hunting down women and burning them at the stake thinking they were witches. Scapegoating became common. All sorts of minority groups started being blamed for things and hunted down and killed. And hatred and anger just generally went out all through the roof. Okay. Um, okay. And that, of course, led to this mass death. Okay. That's the end of the presentation. Let me put my face back up. I'm sorry. I know that was long. I spent a long time making it. So, all right. So that's the 30 Years' War. And a lot of time, yes, Portland, yes. And as you're going to see, folks, over time, this kind of helped bring about the end of feudalism. Kind of, because as these religious ideologies were viewed as more and more dangerous, because a lot of people suddenly learned at this time, hey, maybe we should stop slaughtering each other over this because this is just not good for anyone. That also, though, made it harder for rulers to control their populations because you no longer have the superstructure backing up religious rule by these kings and queens, right? if the religious thing doesn't matter anymore, how do you convince people that the king or the queen ruling you is worth being, it can rule you? Or if you have a Catholic ruler and you are a Lutheran, what's going to convince you to listen to that king? Okay, so this led to you start seeing sort of the dismantling of feudalism and these ruling structures based off religion, and you also start to see capitalism becoming much more important. But anyway, interesting, right? And we don't normally know about this war, but it was horrific, as you said. And by the way, one of the reasons that Germany united a lot later in history was because they had this history of being invaded from outside people. Like Germany had been invaded during this war. They had been invaded by Napoleon, which kind of inspired the Germans. Hey, we need to get together and like form our own country to defend from outsiders. So this had big impacts, but that is the 30 Years' War. There's tons of stories I could tell you about it that I didn't for the sake of time, but I recommend you look into it, okay? Okay, any questions about 30 Years' War? No? Okay. All right. Whew. I'm just done talking out for so long, okay? All right, you guys. So there's my presentation for the day, the 30 Years' War. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get my tea. Forgive me. I'm going to go get my tea, and then I'll be right back, and we will do some reactions to stuff. We'll maybe talk about the news, and I got a PragerU video I wanted to watch with all of you, okay? So give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Feel free to comment. How long did I write? 30 years, right, Robert? Okay. All right. Give me a second here. Oh. All right, and we're back. We are back. Okay, so I got my tea. I'm very happy. It's kind of cold, but that's what I get. That's what I get for waiting so long. I should have listened to SoCal. Okay, guys. So some things I want to do here. We got let me put my hat back on again, folks. If we get 2 more super chats, I will put on the Jester Caller. For those that are over on Twitch, please subscribe. You can subscribe for free using Amazon Prime, or just yeah, it's tepid tea. Okay. Yeah. So Alan, we watched the news conference earlier. I'm sorry. I'm so ADHD right now. If you're over on Twitch, okay, please follow me, or you can subscribe for free using Amazon Prime. Give me some of Jeff Bezos's bucks, or send me some bits. If you send 200 bits, it'll count towards our super chat goal of 10. 200 bits will count as 1. If we get to 3 super chats, I will put on the Jester Caller. If we get to 5, I'll put on the Jester Makeup. If we get to 7, we'll do a Q&A, and if we get to 10 or $50, I will do a After Dark stream tonight. Yeah, Alan. Okay. If we get to, so please do that. If you want to help support the channel, for as little as 99 cents a month, you can become a member by clicking the join button, and that'll help support me what I do here. At some point, I'm going to have a big community chat about funding stuff. I need some ideas. Oh, thank you, Dolly Boy. But regardless, we will. So if you want to, you can also become a member for as little as 99 cents a month. Okay. Okay, guys. So that counts as one. Oh my God, thank you. Oh, thank you, Matt Saiga. Thank you very much. I like wearing this shirt, Matt Saiga. I do like the shirt a lot. Thank you, Matt Saiga. So we'll count. That'll count as we'll put on the jester collar. So, guys, I would like to do a reaction to a PragerU video, if you guys don't mind, and then we'll do some just regular reactions. Because I found a goodie. All right. Oof, there we go. Very good. Okay, very good indeed. All right, so let's do that first. So I'm gonna pull it up here. All right, so we're gonna do like we normally do. If you know well, you know how it goes, y'alls. I will. Ooh, that doesn't look good. Ooh, good. Look how big I am. Okay. I'll put that down here. Boo 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 boo. I could make it like that, I guess. Or what I could do. Well, that looks okay, I think. You know what I could do? Make it a little better. So, boop. Yeah, well, that works, right? That looks okay. You know what? Let me just fix it real fast. I'm just gonna fix this real fast, folks. So when we do this, you all know how this goes. It's just gonna be one quick little PragerU reaction here. We're gonna go back to default device so we can make it more like the more cube shaped. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, so this one is all right. Now you all know how this goes, okay? This is going to be what I'm going to post to YouTube. I found that I did not post enough videos last week, so I'm trying to get some more content to post, or last month's, so that I can sustain my income. This is a PragerU, right? It's an older PragerU, but I didn't see it previously. We got a couple we could react to, but I'm choosing this one. It is called "As the Rich Get Richer, the Poor Get Richer." I suspect we know what this is gonna be about. Okay. And I love all the poor blaming stuff we got going on here. Let me just make sure we got all the audio. Is the audio capture working?
The rich are getting richer.
Yep, it is. Okay. All right. So this is how this works, folks. As you know, for those that are on here who have done this before, yay, woo! I'm sure you love this. Okay, this will be fun. Everyone excited? Caleb Hammer video chat is good, although a bit long. Given him an audit on his channel. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, as always, you can comment as much as you'd like while I'm doing this, folks. I will avoid looking at chat too much while I'm doing it. But I might take some things you say and add it to the video while I'm doing it. But for the sake of posting it later, I will not. My face is gone. Can you guys not see me over there? For the folks over on well, for the folks over on, can you all see me? Over on YouTube, can you guys see my face? Did my face disappear? No face? Okay. I think I know why. Give me a second here to fix it. Give me a second here to fix it. Vertical sources, vertical scenes. All right. So we'll do this vertical scene. All right, let me just take a look to see if that fixed it. Vertical, vertical, vertical. There you go. You can see my face now, right? Excellent. Okay. There we go. Okay, you can see it now? I hope. Yes, it looks like you can. At least on my end, you can. Okay. All right. That fixed the face, but remove the chat. Yes. So I have to remove the chat for this part, folks, because so it doesn't show on screen as I record it, if that makes sense. Okay. This isn't going to be another Yuga. I don't know, Mithro. It might be. Matt Saigai, you said, did you try reconting the I've had it pod ladies for? I have not, Matt Saigai. Science teach. Okay, everyone ready? Everyone ready? Okay, you all know how this is going to go. Again, please feel free to comment as much as you can while I'm doing it. I'll try to keep up with comments. Of course, I won't respond to them while I'm doing it. I haven't even seen this, so we'll see. Okay, everyone ready? Let's see the kind of bullshit we have to deal with today. All right. Let's go. I gotta do my little intro. You all know how it goes. Okay. What did I do last time? I said something about subscribe. So I'm gonna do like you should subscribe. There was something we did last time. I can't remember what it was. That's okay. All right. Let us go. All right. In my intro, I gotta do the intro. Okay. All right. Hello, welcome back to Casual Revolt. I'm Casual Revolt. I am a teacher. I started this channel to kind of dismantle some of the misinformation out there and stuff. And today we're going to be doing just that. We're going to be dismantling some of the information out there, especially from PragerU, which is a propaganda outlet, absolute propaganda outlet. And that's also why I like to wear the jester hat and stuff, because jesters were the critics of kings. And I think it's a very good look, a very good, it's a good metaphor for what we're doing here, dismantling the arguments of the elites and stuff. And on that note, we today are going to be reacting to a video called As the Rich Get Richer, the Poor Get Richer. PragerU, by the way, is a propaganda outlet that the Trump administration is pushing to have taught in schools. It is being taught in schools in a lot of places. So let's see what new horrors await us in this video. Let's continue. Let's do this. And so we shall begin.
The rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. The top 1% of people on the planet have half the wealth. Western corporations are plundering developing countries.
By the way, I'm pretty sure that's a low estimate now. I think it's less than 1% have as much wealth as half of the world combined. So that's an underestimate.
Capitalism is on its last legs.
Yep.
Really? The truth is that global inequality is tumbling. Yeah.
Oh, great. Daniel Hannan, member of the European Parliament, UK.
The rich are getting richer, but the poor are getting richer faster.
So that is just factually not true. There has been wage stagnations. The wealthy have. So as economic growth has occurred, the vast majority of that wealth has gone to the wealthiest people in the world. The wealthy are definitely getting wealthy faster than the poor. Okay. Like by every metric. I don't know what the heck he's talking about at all.
What's driving that process? The market. Look at the most basic measures: literacy, longevity, infant mortality, calorie intake, height. More and more people are being lifted out of poverty. I think of the changes just in my lifetime. When I was born in 1971,
okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back real fast. What were some of those statistics he talked about? Basic global measures, literacy, longevity. Yeah, because we've invented new forms of hygiene, there's technology out there that helps a lot of these things. We have better food production methods than we did during like the Middle Ages, okay? There have been more industrialization and more things like that. But that I'm not sure what this has to do with inequality. And by the way, like in America, for example, life expectancy has actually been dropping, especially for men. Well, we'll see. By the way, this measure is from 1961 to 2013. There have been a lot of things invented since 1961, by the way. So this says nothing about wealth.
More people are being lifted out of poverty. I think of the changes just in my lifetime. When I was born in 1971, an American worker had to earn a month's salary to be able to afford a TV set. Now it's 2 days. In 1971, fewer than half of girls worldwide completed at least primary education. Now it's more than 90%. In 1971,
and there are less, there are more people are literate than were during the Roman Empire, for example. I mean, this is irrelevant. These are like, you have to put everything in context, right? this has not, what does this have to do with wealth inequality is all I'm saying, okay? What does this have to do with wealth inequality?
Stationary car emitted more pollution than a car moving at full speed today. Go a little further back. In the 17th century, the most...
Wait a minute. Okay, so does that mean, so I guess climate change must have been solved then, right? So there's no problem because look, hey, the cars don't emit as much as they used to, so clearly things are better now. Yeah, we're still on the verge of climate catastrophe. We already in climate catastrophe, so kind of an irrelevant point. It doesn't matter if they used to do less. It doesn't matter if they used to do less because it doesn't matter. Everything is still shit in regards to climate change.
Powerful man in the world was Louis XIV of France. Every night he'd have 40 dishes prepared for his dinner, and he'd pick the one that he felt like. But think about it. A receptionist today can stop off at a store on her way home and have not only a wider choice than that king, but a fresher...
They are not. Oh my God, guys. They are not. They're not comparing Louis to a receptionist, saying, oh, well, she had a wider array of choices and things like that. Okay. No, that is not. Yeah, I mean, of course, because we now have mass production methods and things like that. But Louis had a ton of power. He could get all of his needs met. He could do whatever he want. So this is an issue of freedom, right? Louis had a lot more freedom than this woman has, right? So yeah, she has access to some things that he didn't have access to because times are different, but she has far less freedom than Louis ever did because Louis has all this wealth and power, right? Okay.
One and a healthier one. We all live better than Louis XIV. And what's caused that miracle?
Oh my God.
Not any UN development program, not any government aid scheme. What caused it was the market. The most rapid falls in poverty are happening in countries that are...
Yeah, here's some funny things about this, claiming that the market was responsible for this. Another aspect of the free market was slavery. That's labor. That is labor that is labor that is unpaid, right? And you can freely exchange human beings on the market if you don't have regulation and things like that. So yeah, free market, great for everyone, right? As long as you're viewed as a human being. Yeah, free market also leads to tons of big issues. Anyway, okay.
Joining the global trading system. Compare growth rates in free trading Colombia and protectionist Venezuela, or in free trading...
Yeah, that's cute. The thing here too is that we also have sanctions and embargoes on Venezuela. Colombia, not so much. And there's massive wealth inequality in Colombia. So this idea of growth, general growth, okay, who is it growing for? Who is getting that wealth? In Colombia, it is not the average Colombian, it is the wealthy. And in Venezuela, that's a big issue because there've been, you can't make that calculation because of all the other crap that is being put on them.
Vietnam and protectionist Laos, or in free trading Bangladesh and protectionist Pakistan.
Wait, they still have growth. I don't understand it. He's saying, "Oh, they have protectionists. They have growth." Yeah, but they're also very they have less development than other economies, mainly due to a history of imperialism and blah 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 blah. Okay, so this is utter nonsense. By the way, in order for those other countries that have high growth to be able to have that high growth, they have to exploit the countries that have low growth because they need those low wages in those countries, etc.
It's the same,
which is all part of the market, by the way.
Story every time. China after 1979, India after 1991. You remove barriers to trade, prices fall, your people no longer have to work every hour just to afford food and basic commodities.
They don't have to work every hour just to afford basic food and commodities. For those who are watching this, how many of you feel like, oh, you don't have to work all the time to survive, right? You can take weeks off. You can take a few days off a week, probably. No need to work all the time because you can afford stuff even if you don't have to work, right? Even if you don't work. Let's see how many people watching this feel that is a true assessment of where markets have gotten us. Okay.
Have time to invent and make and buy and sell other things, the whole economy is stimulated, poverty falls. Okay, you might say. So maybe capitalism works, maybe people are better off. But isn't there a cost? Doesn't it make us more materialistic? Doesn't it make us greedier? Well, if by greed you mean a desire for material wealth, that's part of the human
excited
condition.
to see where this is going.
It's in our DNA. Or if you prefer, it's in our...
So here's the thing about capitalism, right? For the folks out there, yeah, so even Karl Marx would say that, yes, capitalism was a better system than feudalism, which came before it. It was an upgrade, so it was better than feudalism. This is an irrelevant point, though, right? Because is it perfect? No. Does it have a lot of really bad things that's with it? Yes. Is there a better way to do things? Yes. By the way, another fundamental aspect of capitalism isn't just growth and stuff, it's violence. Extreme violence. There have been tons of violence at the behest of capitalism. Look at the Belgian Congo. Look at slavery. Look at the suppression of labor unions, violent suppression of labor unions. Look at the overthrow of socialist regimes all across the world at the hands of the American Empire. Look at British imperialism in India. Look everywhere. Yeah, hell, even look at Imperial Japan. Okay, capitalism thrives on violent exploitation of its neighbors. So a lot of death and destruction has come along with capitalism. So yeah, it's been beneficial for a small segment of people while the rest of the world suffers at its behest. And yeah, it was better at promoting growth than what came before it, but that does not mean it's what's best for humanity.
Our fallen nature. Under any system, socialism, communism, fascism, absolute monarchy, theocracy, people want more stuff. The unique quality of capitalism is that it structures the incentives so that the way to succeed, the way to be greedy, if you insist on using that vocabulary, is to offer a service to the people around you.
No, so this is just not true. For most of human existence, human beings lived as hunter-gatherers, and there was no incentive for greed. There was no incentive for hoarding materials because we were constantly on the move. You wouldn't want to have to own a bunch of stuff because then when you got up to migrate to the next place, you would have to carry that stuff. There was not a focus on material things, like in almost any way. There may be for like a few small things. But what capitalism does specifically is it makes ownership and consumerism the foundation of everything. It makes greed the most important thing. Even under feudalism, greed was not the most important thing for the mass majority of the population. Survival was, etc. Survival, religion, other things were generally more important. I mean, for the upper crust, greed was important, but capitalism makes the society based on greed. Okay, especially in America, after World War II, there was a big push by the government and private entities to link ideas of citizenship with consumerism. You are a better citizen if you're out there buying more. Okay, like greed became a fundamental, necessary aspect of the economic system under capitalism, to the detriment of everything else. Greed was considered good under capitalism because you want more.
Under every other system, you get on by sucking up to those in power. Commissars or kings or dictators.
Wait a minute. That doesn't happen in capitalism? People don't suck up to people in power in capitalism? We all know there's a ton of Elon bros out there, right? We all know the people who love Jeff Bezos. We know the people who love Donald Trump. There's definitely sucking up going on in capitalism. As a matter of fact, at least in the United States, that sucking up has been institutionalized in the form of campaign contributions, where the capitalists can bribe politicians who will then want to suck up to them for that bribery. All right.
But under a free market system, you get on by offering consumers something they want. As the economist Joseph Schumpeter put it, the achievement of capitalism is not to provide more silk stockings for princesses, but to bring them within the reach of the shop girl. So, why can't we see it? Why do
So, when capitalism was first around, that was definitely not the case, right? Under free market capitalism, the quote unquote shop girl, the women who were in the factories in Lowell, Massachusetts, or in the UK or whatever, were making such low wages they'd never be able to afford silk stockings. You know what started changing that to where they were making enough wages to afford perhaps silk stockings? The labor movement, regulations and things like that, which sort of moderated the horrible effects of capitalism so that people could at least accumulate a little bit of wealth It still is not perfect. And by the way, a lot of that has been rolled back, which is once again making it really hard for workers to afford things like, for example, silk stockings. So that is not a fundamental aspect of capitalism. That's an aspect of regulated capitalism, where we actually limit capitalism. So limiting capitalism is actually what brought wealth allowed those people to afford things. Minimum wages. That's what allowed workers to afford things that they weren't previously allowed to afford.
Intentioned, idealistic young people oppose free trade and market liberalization, thinking that they're standing up for the poorest people on the planet, when in fact they're doing the opposite. A big part of the answer is aesthetic. As the Victorian novelist Anthony Trollope wrote, poverty, to be scenic, should be rural. I grew up in Lima, Peru, which in those days was surrounded by shanty towns known as Las Barriadas. Western visitors would come and they'd visit Machu Picchu, and then they'd ask in bewilderment why people migrated from the Andes to the slums.
Oh my God, these two people are morons if they actually ask that. So let's be honest. Let's be honest here, right? The reason why there are shanty towns in Peru is because of imperialism and colonialism. Peru was part of a colonial empire where a ton of wealth was extracted from Latin America and brought to Europe and then later to the United States. Okay, well, let's see what their answer is here.
Why did they swap the clean air and the mountain scenery for open sewers and traffic fumes?
Why did they swap clean air and the mountains? Okay.
It's a very first world question. No Peruvian ever needed to ask why you'd leave a place with no electricity, no school, no clinic, and no jobs. Those shantytowns, those barriadas, for most of their residents are transitional. They're busy places, humming with enterprise, and the people in them sense that they're on their way up.
Okay. Nope, they're still there. There's still these barrios. By the way, so are they okay with that then? Are they okay with that? So I guess PragerU is okay with there being these massive slums where there are a few people successfully engaging in enterprise while everyone else is suffering in poverty. And that they want us to view these slums as like, oh, no. Don't feel bad for the people here who are suffering economically. These are transitional places. There's so much enterprise going on, right? People are on their way up, okay? So ignore them. This is just a natural consequence of the system you love so much called capitalism, is that there'll be slums. That seems kind of bad because they're human beings, right?
If we want to help those people, the best thing we can do is let them sell us their stuff.
I love that. Okay, let them starve. Let them, die deaths of despair. Let them, don't have access to the same goods and stuff as everyone else does. But we should just let them sell, even though a lot of them can't do that, don't have access to the ability to create enterprises. This is hilarious. The best thing, absolutely, the best thing we can do is just let them suffer, right? Okay.
Capitalism has achieved things which earlier ages ascribed to gods and magicians. It's abolished.
We kind of do that now. I kid you not. The superstructure, the ideological foundation of our capitalist society is sort of this almost religious level belief in the power of the free market, in the fundamental good of those that are successful at navigating the market and becoming wealthy. The idea of the American dream, or the idea of, if you work hard enough, you will eventually be rich like everyone else. It's a myth. It is not true. It is a myth. It is like a sorcerer level myth. And these guys are the sorcerers or the witch doctors, or whatever you want to call them, that are trying to sell that myth. I shouldn't use the phrase witch doctors. They're the people trying to mislead you into thinking that.
Hunger and disease and want. It's led to an unprecedented enrichment that is the central fact of your life. The fact that you're watching this video is enough to tell me that.
Why is he looking at me that way?
Let it work its magic in the rest of the world. I'm Daniel Hannan for Prager University.
Okay, so for those that are watching this video, who here has felt the magic of capitalism? Who here feels the magic of capitalism every day? Feeling the magic of all that beautiful stuff that you have, all that struggle you have to engage in, that hard work you have to engage in every day. The magic of, having a pizza party thrown to you after working 40 hours a week and yet not being able to afford that operation for your child, or not being able to have a child because you can't afford the time off that would be necessary to raise the child after you've had the child. Or the fact that there's so many people in this country are dying deaths of despair at the hands of overdose to drugs because they don't feel like they have any connection to the society they're in. Or the fact that whenever the rich crash the economy, we're the ones that suffer, and they get bailed out while we still suffer. Or the corruption in politics. I'm sure you all feel the tremendous magic of capitalism when you experience these things. Ah, oh, capitalism, such a magical thing, is it not? On that note, folks, if you like my content, please subscribe to the channel. You can become a member for as little as 99 cents a month by clicking the join button. And please go over to Twitch. I go live almost every day except for Wednesdays and Thursdays. So click the bell icon if you're on YouTube if you want to be notified of when I go live. I made this video while I was live. And or go and join me over on Twitch. I'm also streaming from there. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ, folks. Okay. I feel like I wasn't able to get in everything I wanted to say because there was just so much. Let me see what you guys said. Yeah, you're right. I should have brought up meritocracy, Matt Guy. Should have brought up meritocracy. Don't you all just feel bathed in the light of capitalism? Right. Like, I'm sure you all just feel so. I know I do. Just feel so enamored with capitalism. Okay. Yeah, exactly, elevator. I'll shower you in poverty, elevator. Like, I love the idea. A lot of folks say that, if the wealthy get rich, then, it'll trickle down on the rest of us. Well, kind of. It'll be like they're pissing on us. Anyway. Right. Right. Soup's cheese. Welcome, by the way, soup, cheese, soup. Um, Global, are you wanting to capitalize this channel? No. What do you mean, Global? Capitalize the channel? Um, Yeah, you mean monetize. So capitalism, I'm not sure. So I'm not sure what you mean. So I'm guessing this is what you mean, Global. If you don't mean, so capitalism is where you have a system of private owners of property who exploit the labor of others to get that wealth. I am exploiting no one's labor. I just want to put that out there. I am a small business operated by one person, and I do get some help from folks in the community. But for those in the community that know, I pay them when I can. But it's not like they're employed by me. But all right. So, and by the way, I'm not making much money anyway. So I wish I were a capitalist owner of this channel. Okay, not really. Yeah, I don't. Okay. All right. So, interesting. I'm reading some of this stuff. Snake oil. That would have been better, soup cheese. I should have said snake oil salesman. Witch doctor can have a racial connotation. I didn't mean to say that. Exactly, soup cheese soup. Am I missing anything? Yeah, that's a good point, Elliot. Saying that we should say that the minimum wage is transitional and therefore shouldn't be higher. It makes so sense to me. And by the way, folks, like one of the natures of capitalism is this idea that, yeah, the people who engage in enterprise will succeed. The vast majority of people fundamentally cannot succeed because there can only be so many people that own the businesses that are succeeding, right? So automatically you're going to have an underclass no matter what you do. You're going to have an underclass, which is deeply ridiculous. Uh, okay. Let's see here. Let's see if we got any here. Sharing with poverty. Absolutely, Matt. That's a good one, Matt Saiga. In capitalism, you always have someone below you, right? There's always someone below you whose labor you're exploiting. Soup, cheese, soup. If everyone succeeds, no one will work at the underpaid jobs. You're right. I mean, it's an impossible. So, but see, here's my thing, folks. Please hate me if you will. I think all humans are equal and they all deserve dignity, respect, and to live good lives. So to have a system where a ton of them are automatically going to be at the bottom, I don't like that very much. I just don't like it very much. I feel like the wealth should be spread around. Okay. You guys are ridiculous. All you folks out there that are trying accusing me of being a capitalist. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I got in there. Okay, guys. So, yeah, there is no such thing as free trade. That's also true global. Soccer match UK. Hi, Winter Pig. Oh, hello, Winter Linde. You're right, Meowsert. I'm surprised they didn't blame like trans people for anything, or black people or feminists. Like it was weird. They left the identity politics kind of out of it. How dare you, Alyssa? And by the way, Alyssa, there's no difference between a capitalist and a dictator. A capitalist is a dictator over their enterprise, which is why we need to democratize the enterprises and socialize them, which is why I'm a socialist. Okay, so yeah, Alyssa. Okay. All right, you guys. So there we go. We'll do that one. Well, that was that. Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna go back to my regular face, etc. Now I gotta fix all this shit because I messed it up on here. For those that are now here, custom. We'll go back to custom. All right, there we go. Okay. Yay. I'm so sorry Trump failed. Okay. By the way, you all sicken me for accusing me of being a capitalist. Okay. God, I wish I was. Okay. I wish I could be exploiting someone's labor. No, I'm joking. I hope. Okay. No, you're also right, Mithril. All right. So, okay. So let's got reactor. Again, folks, if we get how many do we need? 2 more super chats. I'll put on the jester makeup. How dare you, Matt Sai guy? You're the authoritarian Matt Sai guy. All right. So what else we got here? So I'll just do that reaction for now. There are some. Oh, well, thank you, Elevator Lady. See, Elevator Lady, you're my new favorite. You're my new favorite. I don't like Matt Sai guy anymore because Matt Sai guy just called me a capitalist and an authoritarian. So I prefer you, Elevator Lady. You're my new favorite. Okay, my new favorite. Yeah, that's right, Elevator. It's true. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So let's see here. Though Matt Sai guy, if you want to be my new favorite, maybe you should, donate $20 or so. Then maybe I'll change my mind. Just kidding. Just okay. I love you all. All right. Okay. So let's see what we got here. I thought I could do some Discord reactions now. I know, right? That is true, Alan. You're right about that. Okay. Do we ever see? Was there? I'm going to put up the. No, Matt Sai guy, come back. I love you. Okay. I love you, Matt Sai guy. Come back. Okay. You're right, SoCal. See, I'm just too nice, SoCal. I'm just too nice. Okay. So I keep saying have you guys noticed this? I need to work on my okay, I'm trying to put this okay. For a second there, Meowsword, I thought you said Marjorie Taylor Greene is our new Tiago, and I'm like, what? Okay. All right. Hey, Outer Signal. How you doing, Outer Signal? Okay. So yeah, God, I need to stop this. Okay. So we have some things on Discord that we could react to. I want to quickly see, did they ever tell us what happened at that meeting? Like, why was it? By the way, for those that are watching on, I love you, Matt Sagai. For those that are watching on Trump announcement. Jeez. Oh God, that's yeah, okay. Do we ever see Trump announcement? Did we find out like whether if that guy's okay or whatever, or really what happened with it? 2 hours again. There's nothing else here.
brand new model aimed at getting to the vulnerable populations amongst us these medications. The forgotten man will be able to afford these.
No, we already seen this. Okay, so we'll just not do that. Let me okay, it's here. CR is shaking people down for cash. He's making Adam Smith proud. Trump failed. How dare you? By the way, though, Trump failed. Adam Smith was remarkably progressive for being the founder of capitalism. He was like, we need to regulate and shit. Anyway, probably Suchi. No, he's not. So he did an announcement earlier, folks. It was a nothing burger, which is why I started early. But then someone died. I'm sorry, that was rude. Someone passed out during the meeting, and they had to, turn it off very quickly. So I hope the person is fine. All right. So let me see, what do we got here on Discord to react to? What do we got here on Discord to react to? Let me see if we got what we got here. We got by the way, folks, please join our Discord. If you haven't already, if you join our Discord, you will be able to post things for me to react to in the Discord React channel. Oh my God, Louise, this looks like a good one to me. I opened up immediately on one of Louise's recommendations, and I'm liking the look of it. Oh my God, that looks good too, Alyssa. Oh my God, so many good recommendations. Okay, you know what? Let's start with Louise's. Because I would love to see...
Donald Trump is in full-fledged...
Oh my God, first of all, we get to see... well, I'm sorry, it's not the After Dark stream. I can't hit on Owen here. Matt Saigai, aren't you excited, Matt Saigai? Let me get to see Owen here. Okay, so I know how you feel about him too, Matt Saigai. Yeah, I know, right, Matt Saigai? Okay. So let's watch this one. Thank you, Louise, for sending this. I just love the idea of Trump having a little baby meltdown over Mamdani. So let's see what Owen is this. When is this from? 2 days ago. Let's see what he has to say. And that's a fair point, Meowzord. You're right. That is a fair point. I should not even say that. Okay. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Panic mode over Zoran Mamdani becoming mayor of New York. And now he's threatening the people of New York and trying to blackmail them into voting for Andrew Cuomo, the serial sexual harasser who lost the contest, of course, for the Democratic Party mayoral nomination back in June.
No one listened to Meowzord, okay? Meowzord doesn't know what he's talking about.
Now, here is a striking example of how Donald Trump's Republicans are seeking to overturn US democracy, terribly flawed as it already was. He's posted this on his Tree Social website. Now, I'm afraid, guys, I can't really do, let's call it
Trump failed? How dare you?
An effective impression of the demagogic incumbent in the White House. One of my many flaws. Doesn't quite have the same impact in my faded northern lilt. Here goes.
I agree.
If communist candidate Zoran Mamdani wins the election for mayor of New York City, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds, other than the very minimum as required, to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm. And I don't want to send as President good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation. And it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was ranked as he was nothing as an assemblyman, ranked to the bottom of the class, and as mayor of potentially again the greatest city in the world. He has no chance to bring it back to its former glory. We must also remember this: a vote for Curtis Silva, that's the Republican candidate, who looks much better without the beret. That's bollocks. It was great.
I love this. For real fast, while I said you should join our Discord, we have a great community growing on there. I'll post, here's our Discord link. Please go there, join it. We got a fast growing community. We almost have 150 people on there, which for people who have been here a while know that that's the magic number. We'll see what happens if we do get to 150. Okay, so let's continue.
I'm not a fan of his, but he looks great with the beret. Anyway, whatever, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He is capable of it. Mamdani is not. Now, we really shouldn't have to play this game. I do play this game quite a lot with you. I get that. But alas, given the dire timeline we're in, there's not really much choice. But we're going to have to do the whole let's imagine if. Just imagine this was a country in Africa or Asia or Latin America. Imagine an opposition politician was on the brink of winning the mayoralty of its most important city. Imagine the leader of the country on the eve of that election ordered his citizens not to vote for the candidate and threatened to withdraw funding for that city if they voted him or her in. How would that be portrayed? How would it rightly be understood?
By the way, is Owen an independent, or is he a member of the Green Party now? Like, I'm guessing he's not Labour, right? Like, I'm guessing he's sort of an independent commentator at this point.
Consider that to be a democracy, or would we correctly understand that as a signature hallmark of authoritarianism? Indeed, this intervention from Trump echoes what he said a few days ago on CBS's 60 Minutes.
Zorhan Mandami, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules.
That's interesting, Meowzard. I need to look at more Pearl-mania stuff.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, right?
But what if Mandami becomes mayor?
It's going to be hard for me as...
But honestly, Meowzard, I think he just listens to what people around him say. So, like, I don't know if he actually thought it through. He probably still thinks other things are rigged. But anyway.
The president to give a lot of money to New York.
No, he doesn't, of course
because if you have a communist running New York, all you're doing is wasting the money you're sending there. So I don't know that he's won, and I'm not a fan of Cuomo one way or the other, but if it's going to be between a bad Democrat and a communist, I'm going to pick the bad Democrat all the time, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, first thing, we can all agree that Donald Trump is a real hottie. Really blessed with those film star looks. Zoran Mandani could only dream of that chiseled jawline, defined cheekbones.
Hey, he's allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do it.
Take a swim in.
Meowzord.
Incidentally, Mandani was actually asked about this.
Assemblyman, any response to President Trump saying he's better looking than you?
Duran, what's the statement if your focuses on the cost of living crisis, right?
That is message discipline. Now, anyway, more to the point, this is, of course, gratuitous election interference from Donald J. Trump. As one US commentator points out, this would be immediately impeachable in any functioning democracy. This is actual election interference of the highest order, in addition to a blatant violation of the First Amendment rights of millions of people, both punishing speech and
I actually wouldn't be surprised,
compelled speech. There is far more of this, as I'll show, but let's just see how Andrew Cuomo reacted when Trump's endorsement was put to him.
Boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No.
Trump said you're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a communist. Or a communist, he's picking you.
I love that.
Hello?
What happened?
I think that they cut him off. I think he had to rap.
You just get... Oh. I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask.
I missed what that was. Ruhan up. Forgive me. I missed it, guys. I didn't. I was
when Trump's endorsement was put to him.
1 second. I got to hear that again.
Boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No.
Trump said you're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a communist. Or a communist, he's picking you.
I did not see that. That is hilarious.
They cut him off. I think he had to rap.
You just get... Oh. I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask you.
That's hilarious.
Ebro just got spicy.
Sunshine.
Oh, just hangs up. Well, you probably can see why. Donald Trump's national approval rating at the moment, according to YouGov, is minus 18, with 39% approving and 57% disapproving, and it's minus 32 in New York City, according to the latest polling I could find. But the Republicans are whipping themselves into a frenzy over Mandani. Listen to this from Randy Fine, the Florida Republican congressman, who is disgusting, a pro-Israel fanatic who has said many genocidal things. I did a whole video about Randy Fine, if you want to look it up, and the disgusting, vile
May the streets of Gaza overflow with blood. He actually said that. I mean, why am I surprised anymore, folks? Jesus Christ. Okay.
Racist,
okay.
genocidal
All right, Trump
hate
failed.
that man has already exuded into the world. I'm sure that's the right word there. But anyway, just listen.
I've called for Zohran Mandami to be deported.
Yeah, soup, cheese soup.
The only
Republican Jewish coalition? I don't think I think I've heard of that.
The only thing I want to see him running for is his gate at JFK on the deportation flight to Uganda.
The descent into overt, unapologetic racism amongst the Republicans, of course, continues apace, as you can see. Randy Feinstein has joined forces with another Republican congressman, Tennessee's Andy Ogles, to push the federal Justice Department to investigate Mandami's path to citizenship with the aim of stripping him of his US citizenship. He has joined American Ugandan citizenship and deporting him, which is, of course, what dictatorships do. They try and deport their opponents or imprison them. Ogles calls the New York Democratic mayoral candidate Zohran Little Mohammed Mamdani. Now, Islamophobia, right? As I keep saying, is mainstream, respectable.
Yes, it is.
Acceptable, normalized across the Western world. It's everywhere. You know, you can say almost anything you want about Muslims. I mean, in the political media worlds, rampant, normalized. Now, Ogles yesterday posted a New York Post article about his attempts to use the 14th Amendment to get Congress to ban Mamdani from office. This amendment bars someone from office if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion or given aid or comfort to the enemies of the nation. A bit rich, given the Trumpian insurrection back in 2021, which attempted to overturn the presidential elections. Now, the grounds that Mamdani's spoken out against ICE, the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which has been weaponized by the Trump administration and is dragging people off the streets in a manner, again, you would expect in an authoritarian dictatorship.
Absolutely outer signal.
Not an insurrection.
And
anyway.
Transphobia recently outer signal.
Here's Mamdani on the Trump endorsement.
We knew in the primary that Andrew Cuomo was being funded by the same billionaire donors that gave us Donald Trump's second term. I did not, however, anticipate Andrew Cuomo going from being Donald Trump's puppet to being so nakedly his parrot. What he has said in these last few days, these are words that should shock the conscience of New Yorkers.
It's weird.
He has said that diversity is a weakness, while forgetting which black host of the TV show he was on Alan? He was actually speaking to. He has laughed and agreed when a radio show host said that I would cheer on another 9/11. He has stood alongside the current mayor of the city as that mayor said that he was endorsing Andrew Cuomo to stop a movement that was burning churches in Nigeria, to stop New York City from becoming...
Did you guys hear about that, how Trump was saying he wanted to declare war on Nigeria because of the killing of some Christians there?
Europe. And as Deputy Majority Leader Mike Giannaris said, for Andrew Cuomo's closing message to be
SoCal,
a call for Republicans to support him, it shows what we have long known, but what he was able to hide while he was in Albany, which is that Andrew Cuomo is interested more in his own power than in living up to the ideals that make so many New Yorkers proud to be Democrats.
A really important point here is about...
Elliot, if we had it my way, Elliot, we would have had a series of trials for all the traitors out there, for all the people who enabled the insurrection, etc. You know, maybe make them public. Make sure everyone, all those right-wingers understand what will happen to them if they do the same thing. Anyway, that would be my, thing I'd like. Yeah, right, Peace Sunshine, it's amazing. It's amazing, Peace Sunshine. Yeah, of course he doesn't care about the Palestinian Christians, Dolly Boy, of course not. Yeah, right in your groove, strange. It is. Okay.
How Andrew Cuomo has indulged Islamophobia. Because this isn't just a problem amongst the Republicans, but the Democratic establishment as well. And
right, Dolly
this already disgraced man has further disgraced himself with his disgusting campaign. Now, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, is using his control of X to feed users anti-Mamdani propaganda.
Yeah,
people can see on their feeds, they log in, they just keep seeing anti-Mamdani stuff being pumped to them deliberately as a strategy by Elon Musk. He himself is using his platform to tell New Yorkers to vote for Cuomo. Indeed, it's been noted that Trump has used X's paid boost feature to spread his tweet that has made choice an unmarked paid promotion. So again, just using, the power this wealthy man has in order to try and stop Mamdani. Now, it really is Mamdani's movement against the elite. The business titans throwing millions of dollars at anti-Mamdani campaigns include Michael Bloomberg, himself a former mayor who is worth $110 billion. The billionaire Airbnb co-founder Joe Gebbia, who serves under Donald Trump and smears Mamdani as a terrorist. The Texan Walmart heir Alice Walton. The obsessive anti-Mamdani hedge fund billionaire Bill Ackman.
Wonder why all the billionaires and the wealthy are so worried by Mamdani. That's probably a good sign, right? It's a good sign. Well, Drusilla, that's the thing, though, Drusilla. Those billionaires think that their money, in this case, they think that they're very powerful, right? They think that their money can influence anything. So they thought that their money would be able to sway the election because they're so out of touch with what the people want.
The delivery
right,
firm
Dolly Boy?
DoorDash, we could go on.
And this is also partially why I'm worried, folks. I am worried for Mamdani's life, like not a little bit. All these wealthy, powerful people has put in tons of effort to stop him. There even been talks about like deporting him and shit. Now he's won. Some small minority of these folks might go to the ultimate conclusion of trying to get rid of him. You see what I mean? So I am nervous about that. I don't know if that will happen, but it is something I'm nervous about because in American history, a lot of times left-wing reformers end up dead. So I am concerned about it.
Why are they so terrified of Mamdani? It is said that Trump and his crew want Mamdani to take the Democrats, for Democrats to lurch in that political direction, because that would make them too extreme for US voters.
And remember, folks, the imperial boomerang theory, right? What empires do abroad often comes back to home. I would not be surprised if our penchant for overthrowing leftist leaders abroad comes back home and results in something happening to Mamdani. It's something I'm worried about. I just hope he has a good security team.
Party and ensure Republican hegemony. But if that's so, why go to such great efforts to stop Mamdani being elected mayor of New York City?
100%.
The truth is,
it makes it worse, Alan, that he is a Muslim, right? That which further fuels that flames. And that Ilhan Omar is also a Muslim. So I'm just worried about him. I hope that he has good security.
You see the sort of politics that Mamdani represents as a threat. Kamala Harris ran a so-called centrist corporate campaign in 2024, and she lost. What Mamdani has shown is how Democrats could attract actual enthusiasm. He has massively expanded the electorate. He's got people to register to vote.
So let's hope that the Democrats follow up with this and start pushing for more left policies and more left-wing candidates.
To come out and vote, who otherwise don't. With the biggest turnout ever for a mayoral election in New York City. It's going to break records. It is. It's already broken records. He's getting younger, disillusioned citizens to come out and vote. That's what the Democrats need to do. Instead of this strategy of the Democratic establishment, which is to offer nothing, no vision, nothing concrete and inspiring for people in an age of crisis, and just to roll over before Trump. Now, let's just look at this clip to see why the US elites are so rattled.
James Carville was here.
Okay.
And he's been a little bit more of, I think he would call himself a centrist.
Okay.
Yeah, James Carville's interesting. He randomly has good takes, and then most of the time his takes are garbage because he's a billionaire, I think. He is amusing though. You'll see.
He said Zohran Mamdani is more on message than any candidate he's ever worked with, and he said hands down.
I agree,
that's
Alan.
a positive.
Yeah, they should have
trait.
Kind of him.
So here's the test.
Yeah, Mamdani's staffers should gain national campaign positions. Like the Democratic Party should really elevate those people.
Oh God.
How quickly can you go from this topic back to a?
I'm going to go back. Sorry.
Oh God.
How quick he's ever worked with, and he said hands down, that's a positive trait.
Kind of him.
So here's the test.
Oh God.
How quickly can you go from this topic back to affordability?
Okay.
Halloween.
Here's the thing. You're seeing candy prices shoot up across New York City. And it's part of the fact that we're the most expensive city in the United States of America.
Oh, God,
take a look
brilliant.
The movie Godfather.
You know, there are too many people who think that the only way they could afford to live in New York City is if their father already lived here. And the fact of the matter is you should be able to afford your own apartment and not just have to pray to God to get there.
Incredible.
Right?
You got there.
That is good. Oh my God, he's so good.
Lightning round is in a word or a sentence, but it's your mic. If you go longer, you go longer.
Okay,
You're a candidate. In a word or a sentence, I am a democratic socialist because
I believe in the dignity of all people.
Yes!
I am the Democratic
God,
nominee for New York because
I beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points.
A reason conservatives are welcome in your Democratic Party is
they also have to pay rent.
Something Democrats are right about.
That we have to take on an authoritarian administration in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Something Democrats have gotten wrong.
We need to bring back working people as the focus of our party.
All right, New York shouldn't be hard for you. My bodega order is
egg and cheese on a roll with jalapenos.
Bagels or Bialys?
Bagels.
Sure.
Come on. How would you?
I mean,
come on, dude.
My favorite subway line is?
For nostalgia, the 9 train.
Okay. And right now?
The N train.
Okay.
Hashtag never. R train, hashtag rarely.
You can call yourself a real New Yorker when?
You know what a bodega is.
Your favorite cannabis shop?
I would have to frequent them more often to have a favorite.
Okay, there we go. And a couple big picture ones.
Okay.
My favorite cannabis shop is Jerry down there, and on the corner of Anyway,
the biggest challenge facing America is
a belief that politics could be more than this.
And facing New York?
Oh God.
That we could actually have a city that New Yorkers could afford.
The biggest challenge facing the Republican Party.
That their agenda is one that is deeply unpopular with Americans.
And the Democratic Party.
That we are missing an affirmative message in a moment when New Yorkers are crying out for it.
Final two.
Oh my God.
If I lose, it's because
I didn't come on this show earlier.
Yep, you did, Trump.
If I win, it's because
I came here with a few days left before Election Day.
Zohar Mamdani, you are very busy right now. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
What he's done there is pitch radical politics in a way that is easily understood, funny, direct, relatable, inclusive. Mamdani offers the left everywhere hope in an age of
absolutely,
resurgent
Meowzord. He doesn't say he doesn't smoke. He just said he doesn't do it enough to have one.
fascism. What he shows is that we can make unifying messages of economic and social justice our centerpiece without throwing minorities under a bus. That's a really crucial point. He's not done that at any point. Now, the right are using so-called culture wars to try and divide us, to try and divide the sorts of people who would support the left, people who are struggling, because they want people who are struggling to be angry, not at the elites who are actually responsible for the problems in society, but the X, Y, or Z vulnerable minority or minority that's also struggling and hasn't caused those problems. And the answer to that strategy isn't to surrender and start conceding ground to bigotry and prejudice, but to make sure that we focus on challenging an economic model rigged in favor of elites and against the majority, because that's what unites people most, irrespective of their gender, their ethnicity, their religion, their sexual identity or orientation, or indeed what they would call their political persuasion. I mean, you can hear there when Mamdani's asked about conservatives voting for him. Why should they do that?
He's just so
brilliant. They have to pay the rent
Mamdani,
as well. That's why I'm so invested in talking about this campaign, because we all need to learn from it. But of course, there is a warning.
Well, by the way, Labor could learn from it, right? Labor could definitely learn from it, not just Americans.
Here, because the elites in the US will stop at nothing to destroy Mamdani's mayoralty, as Trump and his allies are openly threatening. They want to make an example of Mamdani. They want to destroy democracy in the US. Whether they succeed, well, that's up to the US people themselves. Now, finally, given we are talking about the US, Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States.
That's a fair point, outer signal. I mean, the Green Party, perhaps, but maybe in the long term, Labor could learn from it.
Who served under George W. Bush, has just died. This is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because Dick Cheney was a murderous war criminal who, through his death, has cheated justice. Cheney was one of the architects of the invasion of Iraq, as well as the war in Afghanistan and the so-called.
By the way, everyone, please shed a tear for Dick Cheney, of course. To take a moment, shed a tear.
War on terror. A study by Brown University estimated that around 4.5 million people were killed in the post 9/11 wars. That includes through violence directly, as well as economic collapse and food insecurity, the destruction of public services, health services, infrastructure, environmental contamination. We could go on. Iraq itself, where I visited a few weeks ago,
I don't care
was
either.
plunged into blood and chaos and still suffers the terrible consequences today. Dick Cheney escaped.
You all missed my thing yesterday, or was it yesterday where I told everyone? Oh, no, that was during the Mamdani live stream where I basically said, everyone take a moment for Dick Cheney. I'm sure we're all very, very sad about Dick Cheney's passing, right?
Escaped justice. But let this be a lesson for us all. Let's make sure that the war criminals of today cannot cheat death. Only by achieving justice for these crimes of historic proportions can we stop the horrors of tomorrow. Please like and subscribe. Help us take on the pro-genocide, pro-corporate media, a media which is run by the elites in the interest of the elites. Patreon.com/Jones /,
Okay, so Fox Emblem, you actually make a really good point. Okay, yeah, you're right. So, by the way, love you, Soup Cheese. I don't know if you've been here before, Soup Cheese, but I love your comments. Dick Cheney's trying to take the spotlight from Mamdani. Yeah, of course. In a last act, Soup Cheese, Dick Cheney had to be a dick and had to take the light from Mamdani. Okay. Anyway, okay. So yeah, so Fox Emblem, I agree with you. One of my fears, Fox Emblem, is that because of the wins of the other centrist corporatists, the Democrats may not even learn from it. They might just be like, "Oh, yeah, well, look, but the centrist won, so Mamdani is just a what is it called? Is just like a fluke." So clearly, it's what centrism. You're right. So you're absolutely right, Fox Emblem. We'll see what the Democrats do. I don't have much faith in that. But I will say, Mamdani won despite not having a support of a large chunk of the Democratic Party, which is a sign that maybe in the future, Democrats, progressive Democrats who don't have party support can still win. But we'll see. Alan, I could not phrase it better myself. The only tragic thing about Cheney's death is that he didn't die in prison. 100%, Alan. Yeah, Fox Emblem. Yeah, that's my worry, folks. It's called confirmation bias, and I'm sure a lot of Democrats, corporate moderate Democrats, will have their biases confirmed by the victories of the moderate governors, and then ignore the evidence of Mamdani's victory. So we'll see, but we'll see what happens. No, you're right, Fox Emblem. I don't have much hope there, but all right. So I will say this though, Fox Emblem. This is I don't know the answer to this. Fox Emblem says Dems will never learn. There is a tiny progressive wing of sock Dems, and the rest are centrist or right wing. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right. You're right. But do you think, Fox Emblem, if there were more sock Dems in there, then they actually had more power, they might be able to do some stuff? But again, I know that the party would not support it. Mickey is already talking about affordability and rent freezes. Mamdani may have normalized. Oh well, that's good, Alice. But she actually needs to do those things, right? Because we won't unless we actually make the changes. We're going to keep having this fascist cycle that keeps coming back in over and over again. We actually need someone that in power that will make the changes. I know, I understand you, Meowsor. No, I didn't, Meowsor. That's fantastic. That is great news. Richie Torres getting primaried. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Bye-bye, Richie Torres. You are a genocidal maniac. Richie Torres. Okay. Just look at how labor got co-opted by the right. Get your people in power and purge those. Yep. It's exactly like the Democrats there, Dolly Boy. Exactly like the Democrats. Yeah, that's fair as Fox Emblem. Okay. Do we know much about Michael Blake? Meowsword. In the end, folks, I know some of us are not as big of fans of electoralism as others. I get it. But just also remember, we can do all these things at once, right? We can do electoralism and we can resist in other ways. And we should do all of those things at the same time. Soft power and hard power, everything we can do. Okay. I'll see here. Here's the announcement ad. Okay, so this is an announcement ad for someone who's going to be primarying Richie Torres, who's that genocidal maniac, who's very, very pro-Israel and looks like a sociopath. Whenever I hear him talk, he has like no facial expression, no affect. And by the way, I'm not saying that to be harsh. I literally worked in a group home where I had clients who had antisocial personality disorder, which is sociopathy or psychopathy or sociopathy. And they would often have a lot of issues doing any sort of emotional expression in their faces. And this guy, Richie Torres, really reminds me of that. Anyway, so there is someone primarying him. Let's see here.
And as I was living in these slum conditions, the city was spending more than $100 million on a golf course.
Richie Torres invested in weapon makers.
Was just exposed for secretly investing in genocide.
All these things I'm seeing about Richie Torres.
Since 2021, Richie Torres has represented New York's 15th congressional district, the poorest congressional district in America. In 2025, Richie has nearly $15 million on hand, largely from AIPAC, while many of his constituents
wonder why he's so pro-genocide, huh?
Barely have $15 to get by. So he spent the last 15 days hearing from the people about why they're ready for a change.
I saw Richie Torres on Adam Friedland. I know he suffered, but what happens to you is you get lost. Yep. It is so hard to keep your moral integrity once you start taking the money.
He profited from it.
He talks about that place far more often than he talks about the Bronx.
You were criticized for Blackstone.
This is really good,
donation. The architects of the housing crisis.
What? Yeah, Mark Ruffalo, right, man?
You cannot be a representative in the city of New York and you talk like that.
Richie Torres sucks.
Not as long as
Richie Torres is a white motherfucker.
Richie Torres cares more about BB than he cares about the Bronx. More about AIPAC than he does about your academics. So do you want to stay with someone who only wants to care about himself? Or do you want to have someone in me and Michael Blake who actually wants to care for the people? I'm reimagining what the city can look like. I'm named after Jamaican prime ministers, Michael Manley, Alexander Bustamante. Grew up Creston and Burnside. Remember the days back in the day when you go to Woolworths to go shop, skate key, go kick it.
Whose track record has spoken for itself for years.
So when we think about why elect me, think about cost of living and affordability.
We can give people a better chance.
Think about a new vision when it comes to education.
I rolled out an extensive education plan.
And lastly,
sorry, okay, small. I'm just reading what it says.
Show the vision of how we can bring real change to the district. It is time for us to tell Richie Torres that he can go on his own way. And it's time for change, and it's time for a new day.
Okay, that looks good. I wish I knew what his policy things were, but I know this is an ad, so they might not go into it, but we can at least, I'm going to see if we can find Mike Blake. Oh, is that so, Meows Lord? Okay, Mike Blake. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, you're right, Dolly Boy. We have something else we need to cry about here, folks. Another thing we need to cry about. What we're going to cry about here is Nancy Pelosi is no longer seeking election. I know. It's okay. It's okay. We can all cry. What was that video of Nancy Pelosi? Here's the Michael Blake thing. Let me see. It was a very good ad. Yeah. I know, guys. I know. It's very sad. It's very sad. Let's watch that video real fast before we talk more about Michael Blake. Nancy Pelosi, COVID, where she was showing during COVID, Pelosi refrigerator. Here it is. Don't you love this? This was during COVID. And she she posted this video. Okay, maybe we'll just try this and see if I can find it.
Welcome to her home. See what
chocolate candy.
So she posted this video talking about how hard it is, for poor Nancy Pelosi to be in this house. By the way, behind her are 2 fridges, which I think are about $50,000 each. Yep. And then she did this, okay? Look, wearing all of her fancy clothing.
Oh wow!
And
look at that. Oh, she has a nice little basket there.
This is
right.
This is something you can get through the mail.
Okay.
Never run out. Can I show
me?
you?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the episode of Cribs I never knew I needed.
I know, guys.
Oh
look,
my!
Okay.
Wow.
Look at this.
Other people in our family look for some other flavor.
So she's like, look, and I know we can't go out, but look, I was able to get all this in the mail. This is Jenny's ice cream. Okay, these things on the right here are Jenny's ice cream, which Jenny's ice cream started near where I live. It is very good ice cream, but it's very expensive. Very, very expensive. And she's ordering it, which is like, this is probably hundreds upon hundreds of dollars worth of ice cream, if not thousands. And she's like, but it's okay. It's okay, COVID, because we got to order in this massive $50,000 fridge.
Chocolate, and then we have some other chocolate here.
See, I've always felt a connection with you, and now I understand why.
God, shut up, James Corden.
Since you've been isolating in your house, how much of your regular diet do you think is ice cream and candy?
Well, as much as possible. It is. I enjoy it. I like it better than.
She can't even come on. I'm sorry. I know I'm harping on Nancy Pelosi randomly. I just don't like Nancy Pelosi. She could have taken that question and been like, well, of course I eat chocolate all the time. I'm not a monster, right? Or something like that. But she has to be like, well, it's not healthy. And I try to eat not that much of it. So inhuman. Come on, relate to your audience.
Than anything else. And I don't know why, but it seems to agree with me. I have a lot of energy. And we just got to restock the ice cream right for Easter Sunday because we were, shall we say, enjoying. I don't know what I would have done if ice cream were not invented.
I know, soup cheese. The combination of these two, this is a hell show, right? It might be so, Cal. Might be.
Agree.
Right?
I don't know who I am without it.
You're right.
Well, thank you for that little sneak peek. We'll be right back. Welcome back.
Okay, we're done. We don't need to hear any more James Corden. Okay, you get it. So, that was a very tone-deaf thing she did. She does a lot of very tone-deaf things. Or even, you want to see another picture, folks? Another great picture of... I have all these stored up in my head, folks. I have a list. Yeah, that's Mithril. Yes, Mithril. I'm actually about to show that, Mithril. Thank you. So, Nancy Pelosi, during Black Lives Matter protests and stuff, Nancy Pelosi Kenty cloth, or kneels. They did. Okay. Kneeling. Here it is. Oh my God. It's so embarrassing. I have trouble even looking at it. It's so embarrassing. Oh my God. I can't. Okay. Oh my God. It's so embarrassing. Okay. Oh Jesus. All right. Everyone avert your eyes if you can't handle the cringe. So during the, in tribute to George Floyd, okay, the black man who was murdered by a police officer, Congress, rather than doing anything really, did this. There's Chuck Schumer. All right, there's Nancy Pelosi. They did a photo op where they all stood in a room. They stood in a room. I know, and they kneeled, all wearing Kenty cloths, just to show. You see what I mean? To show solidarity with this murdered black man. And guys, come on, what are we doing? What are we doing? As in, why didn't pass any legislation? All they do is this performative stuff. Yeah, all it is this performative stuff. If this was accompanied by actual action, that'd be great, but it wasn't. Okay? It wasn't. This is all they did because Nancy Pelosi was all about performance, right? So, doing this performative act, useless, okay, and humiliating. Anyway, all right. There's so many things I could say about Nancy Pelosi, and then there's Chuck Schumer, and I think who's that? Is that Kamala Harris in the background? Yep. Jesus wept, right? Yep. Yep. Meowzord. Oh my God, Meowzord, you're not wrong. Everyone should read Meowzord comment here. It's like the horseshoe theory, but for racial cringe. It's the progressive cringe opposite of Grandpa saying the word orient. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're not wrong, Dolly boy. Okay, guys, I gotta ask for people who aren't in the United States. All right. So in the United States, right? You all probably hear like a lot of our politicians. They talk all about race and things like that, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there are a lot of Americans who would see something like this and then feel like their hearts expand and like feel suddenly like, oh my God, they care about us. Do you guys feel the same way overseas when you see things like this? Like, when you see American politicians doing performative acts like this, do you? I mean, I'm not okay. I'm not assuming there might be some people overseas that do, but I feel like it just shocks me how many Americans fall into this and who do think like I saw lots of mainstream sources reporting this as like the Democrats take action against police brutality, even though they're just doing a performance. So are a lot of the folks here who are not America, do people overseas generally buy into that when they see it? It looks very fake, right? I threw my shot. Yep. I'm just curious. Okay, well, Mithra, that's great. Okay, good. I'm not the only one. Okay, good. Oh, you're right about that, Soka. I forgot about that when Nancy Pelosi got $1,000 hair treatment in a salon during the pandemic. Because it's like it's just something that really bothers me about a lot of Americans is that they are so they don't they buy into the theater. Okay, they buy into the theater. Let's put it that way. Okay, they really do. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt Saigai. Okay. Anyway, right, soup cheese. It does take a lot of effort for these people. Okay. Something. Jesus looked highly on the woman donating 2 cents. Looked down on the performative donation. Absolutely. Yeah. No, you're right, Alan. And it's just, oh my God. It's something that really drives me crazy. Like I have trouble. Anyway, so okay. Or like as who was it that mentioned this? Someone did earlier. Hakeem Jeffries talking about his telling his origin story and stuff, talking about how he came from a poor African American neighborhood while he's not doing really anything to help them. People are just love good origin stories in the United States or like performances. That is true, Meowzord. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Meowzord. Okay. So again, it's something that bothers me. Okay. Gotta love the performative stuff. Or do you remember one more thing here? Nancy Pelosi. Oh, we got a hype train going. Thank you guys. Yeah, the thoughts and prayers crap. Or I know I'm on a tangent here. Let's see here. Do you remember this Hamilton performance at the White House? Okay, see if I can find this crap. Gosh, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you guys for not being performative. Thank you for being okay. So there was a time. That's right. So they're on the anniversary. On the anniversary of the January 6th attacks, Nancy Pelosi gave a talk at the White House, and then she suddenly goes, and now we're going to see here a performance from Hamilton. I love Hamilton. And the camera suddenly pans over, and there is a performance from Hamilton. For what? I don't know, but it was just humiliating from the musical. Yeah, and then she started quoting some of the lyrics from some of the songs from Hamilton in her speech. She's like, we should never, we make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we will pat. Like, it was so embarrassing. Oh my God. Yes, it is the makeup. You're right, Alyssa. I'll put on the makeup now, folks. But Jesus Christ. Okay. Or we could, you know, I can give more examples. Why not? Why not? No, there's nothing wrong with Hamilton, Alyssa, but it's using it in that way, right, is the bad thing. What else could we talk about here? You all know, okay, all this performative nonsense. Uh, anyway, so let me, I'm going to put on the makeup. Thank you, everyone who donated. And if we get, I believe that gives us, I think we only need one more. If we get one more, I'll do a Q&A. You're no global. You're not wrong. One of the things about Trump is that he does talk to his base. He might not really listen to them, but he talks to them. Nancy Pelosi like barely even tried to listen to her base at all. Anyway, all right. So we'll put on some makeup here. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi low-key said would say her ancestors were really nice to their slaves because they respected her culture. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, oh God, it's just repulsive. Okay. So let me see here. So folks, I think if we get one more, is that right? Am I getting this right? I'm trying to count here. We got so much at once. I'm trying to count. Okay, there, that's good enough. We can do a Q&A, all right? So I'll put on the makeup now. While I'm putting on the makeup, I'll put on a video for us to watch together. Let's just watch one while I'm doing this. All right. Ooh, what's this one? Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. Okay. I'll put on the one that Matt Saigai sent. Perfect. Let's just watch this real fast. Why not have some Mamdani on in the background? No, wait. Jesus, what am I doing? Eh. Give me a second here. All right, we'll do this one. How do I get it up here? There we go. Okay, so we'll watch this while I'm putting on the makeup, and then we'll do a Q&A. We got enough for a Q&A, so. All right, here we go. Let's watch some more Mamdani, shall we?
Congratulations. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
You broke a lot of new ground last night.
Right,
first Muslim mayor of New York, first Democratic Socialist, first mayor to win more than 1 million votes in, 3 decades, youngest mayor in more than a century. So what is the message and the mandate behind that?
First time I've done this.
The message is about transforming the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that's affordable for each and every New Yorker.
My apologies.
And what New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs gave us last night was a mandate to pursue.
If I didn't mean to put on a boring one, if no one wants to watch it, I'm getting a lot of feedback. Okay, how about I find a better one? Or how about this? Let's do this instead, okay? Let's do this instead. How about I can sort of see these questions here. We did get enough for a Q&A, so let's just do a Q&A while I'm doing this. So, what questions y'all got? We're doing a Q&A. We got to 7. So you can ask me anything. You can ask me questions about history, questions about politics, culture, social sciences, personal questions. I retain the right to not answer certain personal questions. Matt Saigai. But I will be open if you all have a question. Go ahead. Give me a question. What is the other sword in the background? Excellent question, Louise. Excellent first question. That is a rapier, which I will show you. Meowzor. I will show you here in a second, Louise. It is a rapier, which would have been from around the era of the 30 Years' War that we were talking about earlier. I will show you that here in a second. Okay. All right. Let me just finish putting on my white face. God, see, the thing is, it's not that much different than my normal skin color. Anyway, okay. Okay, and then I'll answer some questions I can answer while I'm doing this. So, when will I buy a makeup brush? Meowzord, I already have makeup brushes, but I don't use them because it's impossible to use while I'm doing this. So, and it takes forever. So I just use my fingers, and then maybe eventually I'll be able to do it where I can use the makeup brush or something. Or if I start getting in a big enough audience, I'll just put on the makeup before I start. when it's no longer an incentive for people to send me money. Okay. All right. You're thirsty for. You're just thirsty for. Okay, let's see here. I could do a makeup sponge. You're right. Any pets? Oh, how was my manicotti? My manicotti was delicious. I actually was eating some when I got on earlier today. It turned out very well. Very delicious. Very delicious manicotti. Okay. I know, folks, I'm missing some people's comments here. Just give me a second while I put some red on my nose. Maybe I should just start putting on the whole jester outfit before I start streaming. What do we think about that? We could do that, and then I could find some other incentive for donations during the streams. Anyway, is that a king or queen size bed sheet you are using for a curtain? I am not using a king or queen size bed sheet for a curtain. If you mean the one in the background here, that is a Ukrainian flag. And don't worry, folks. Global. There are other creators. I know I'm missing some people's, but that's because I'm doing this. There are other creators younger than you teaching history. Would you collaborate with them? Absolutely. Absolutely. I absolutely would. My weird thing is, folks, I'm kind of in a weird niche because I am very politicized history, right? Like, I do history, but I also do a lot of political criticism. And so a lot of the people that do history are more just the history. So I would need to find someone who's willing to basically partner with me, knowing that I have a political bias in this regard. It's not like my history I teach you is wrong, but you know. All right. There we go. That's cute. Look at that. That's kind of shitty. Whatever. What is my favorite sandwich? Oh, I love a Reuben. Actually, no. I like what are they? I think they're called banh mi's. It's Vietnamese. It's a Vietnamese sandwich that has beef, pickled type things on it, basil, or not basil, and some other things. I love banh mi sandwiches. I am not, Alyssa. I am sometimes, yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that as like but I'm honest about it, right? Like it's as in like it's not. I'm not lying to you. Let's put it that way. Let's see here. I do like the cynical historian. I've seen the cynical historian. Yeah, exactly, soup cheese. But you see, like I actually do teach good history, soup cheese. But like you all know, I teach you like the actual history, but then like when I'm doing commentary and stuff, a lot of times it has a political bent to it, which then can sometimes make the history seem polluted for other people. You see what I mean? Absolutely, Malzor. That's why I love it. Banh mi is amazing. Okay. Okay, guys, let me finish this. I'm almost done. Why not do green for the mouth? A little green for the mouth. All right. I think we're good. Don't you all think we're good now? I think we're good. Okay. 1 second. Now, let me go back to the first question that Louise asked. Louise asked about the sword. So I will show you all the sword. All right. Here we go. All right, here we go. And yes, I know I'm wearing lazy clothes. Don't judge me. Okay, so this is the sword. This is I don't have a name for this sword. This is not an original sword. Obviously, this was made more recently, but it is a rapier with there's a guard on the blade. You can pull it out of its sheath. It's a long, thin blade. And the end is not that sharp because I can take it out. But these are stabbing weapons made to be inserted in between slots in armor. For fast movements, you would typically hold it something like this, okay? And then you could aim it like this, and you could stab in between the armor. So that is this. This is that one. This is my rapier, okay? As a kind of cool hilt, etc., to guard your hand from outside blows. Thank you, Louise. Boop. Of course, then we also have, for those, I know many of you have seen it, but while I'm up, I might as well show you up close for those who haven't seen it. Then this is Chainbreaker. I probably shouldn't be handling it with my bare hands. I mean, it's okay. This is actually a sword from the Civil War. I don't touch the hilt up here because it is falling apart a bit. It's kind of unraveling. I don't know if you can see the it's kind of unraveling there. There are stains on it. The blade, there's actually a design on the blade. It's hard to see, but there are some stains on it from some unknown liquid, which may have been blood. It also may have been water. But this is Chainbreaker, okay? Rumored to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. All right, so there we go. Oh, Soup Cheese. What do you think it was? What do you think it was, Soup Cheese? Do you think I would have a Confederate sword or a Union sword? I think you know, Soup Cheese. Yeah, it's a Union sword. It's called Chainbreaker. It was thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. All right. Okay. Let me see what other questions we got here. Yeah, we're not actually, Matt's like, admittedly, we don't know 100% what the stains are from, right? That story has been passed down in my family. But we can never be too sure. Okay, let me go back up to the top here since I missed some people's comments. All right. All right. Let me see. Did I miss anything here? How many? How was my man? Any pets? Mithril. So I have a cat. Okay. My sister has a dog which I also kind of view as my dog. I just don't get to see him very often because he's over at her house. And I used to, by the way, have tarantulas because I'm a weirdo. And I was at a pet store and I saw some tarantulas that no one was buying and they were on sale. And it made me sad to see animals on sale because no one wanted them. So I bought 2 tarantulas and they ended up getting killed by my cat, a different cat of mine. Anyway, so I did used to have, I had multiple tarantulas, Alyssa. They're not really the best pets. You can't really do much with them. Like they'll crawl on you and shit. That's cool, Alyssa. They'll crawl on you, but they don't do much. I like dogs, cats, things like that. Yeah, Alyssa. So it was funny when one of my tarantulas got killed. A cat got inside their cage, took one out, and I come into my room and this is gross, but there were like pieces of tarantula on the ground because they had been torn apart by the cat. And my mother comes in right in behind me because this is when I was younger, when I was a teenager. And my mother, who's a very big optimist, she's always super optimistic about things. She looks around and she goes, "Oh, honey, he might still be alive." Which was funny since I'm like, "No, mother, his abdomen's right there, his leg is over there." Anyway, okay. Are right? Okay. Good, Alyssa. Good. Okay. If I'm missing anyone, let me see here. Why, Michael? Global. Why is history dominated by war? I think, Michael, a lot of it has to do with social control. We like to glorify war. It has to do a lot with masculinity and the need of the state to normalize war and make it seem glorious so that if they need people to fight wars for them, it'll be easier to convince them to do things. It is also the case, though, that war has massive implications for historical change and things like that. As we talked about today with the 30 Years' War, like massive changes typically occur after a war or during a war. So yeah. I think that's why a lot of history is dominated by war. Why, I think you mean like the writing of history, right, Michael? But it has a lot to do with masculinity, like promoting certain masculine values and trying to reinforce the state's desire to have men wage war. I hope that might be oversimplification, but I try not to talk about war. I actually did a lot of war history classes, but I try to not only do war stuff. Okay, let me see here. What else we got here? All right, you guys. Let me see what else we got here. Try to see if I missed any comments here. Yeah. No, see, but that's the so Alan, Trump talks to his base. He doesn't really listen to them, though. Okay, Outer Signal. CR, have you considered running for office, and what would be your dream role if you had to? Outer Signal, I actually have before, but let's be honest. I don't think I'd be the best candidate. I've always had sort of an issue with authority figures. Maybe sometime in the far future, I would run for office when I'm old and wiser or whatever. But I suppose, I mean, I don't know what I would run for, to be honest. But maybe at some point in the future. I mean, God, look at all the bad evidence that my opponents would have against me just from the things I've said on stream, right? All right. Okay. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything here. What do you call the atmosphere around Harvey Weinstein? What do you mean, Meowsor? Like that is true, Outer Signal. That is fair. I will say this, Outer Signal. I need more money, right? Like I know. Okay, all like when you see people online and stuff. A lot of times we tend to think that they have money. I am not a rich person. Okay, I'm very much not a rich person. Okay, so like maybe in the future after I've established more of a like more financial security or whatever, I'd be able to do it. Um. Uh. How dare you, Mauser? It's rapier. Okay. Maybe it's my Midwestern coming out. So the atmosphere around Harvey Weinstein, I mean, it was horrific. He was a horrible human being. What is your favorite sandwich? Oh, I already answered that one. Let me take a look here. Matt Guy, rephrase that. I'm not going to answer that the question about Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson, and Nick Fuentes. Okay. You know what? Let me see how many. I think maybe do we just need one more for the late night stream? Yeah. How about this? If we get one more, we'll do a late night stream. I'm not quite. I think we're almost there. Maybe one more. What are they saying? Okay. What's your question, guys? But okay, Meowser, what historic branding besides Nazi fonts, icon, visuals or not is your favorite or most compelling? Meowser, how dare you phrase it that way? Okay. That's a good question, Meowser. I really like historical branding, fights, icon, things like that. That's a really good question. I really like there's okay. Honestly, that's a really good question. You know what? Let me think about it. I'll get back to that. I have a couple options here for that. I have to think more about it. All right, what else we got here? Da-da-da-da. Do I think more national attention could have helped other progressives like Omar Fatah? All eyes were on New York City, and as a result, could have made people in New York City more engaged. I feel like most people don't even know who Omar Fatah is, but everyone knows Zoran. Yeah, but I will say Omar Fatah, he wasn't running for a particularly important position. I don't mean to be mean when I say that. Like the mayor of New York City is the largest city in the country, and it has a ton of influence on the international stage and on the local stage. I don't necessarily think the lack of focus on Omar was malicious, but yeah, there could have been more attention paid to him. But there are only so many resources out there for attention, and so I don't really know, Alan. It's kind of a I would have to think about it. I mean, it would have helped him to have more attention. That is for sure. Okay. Not trying to downplay Omar, but you see what I mean? So Malzord, it could be a font style or an icon. Hmm. It's so hard for me. I really like ancient Egyptian, like hieroglyphics and things like that. Maybe Gothic. I really like Gothic script, Malzord. If you like, I'm trying to all these little things I keep thinking of. I like Gothic script. I like ancient Egyptian stuff. There is some yeah, I would say that perhaps. Um, I also like there's a lot of Japanese stuff I like. Also, I really like a bunch of the stuff from India, like depict like images of the gods and things like that, the statues, and so I don't know. It's God, that's a hard question, Meowzord. Okay. Uh, Trump failed. Cynical historian says policemen coming from slave catchers is a myth. It is not a myth. Trump failed. Now, it is an oversimplification. It is both. Okay, so police came from both a combination of slave catchers and from the basically private police forces that were implemented elsewhere, and there were sheriffs and like local what do they call it? Yeah, local sheriffs and stuff that would be hired by legislatures to enforce the law. All of those things kind of came together, but absolutely, a part of the modern police forces were inspired by these slave catching units in the South. Now, this is regional, so in the North, not as much, but in the South, there were some inspiration there. Just organizationally, if you look at the history. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right. Trump failed. Cynical historians disagree on things a lot. Okay, they disagree on a lot of things. It's very possible that a cynical historian has seen research I haven't seen or has a different perspective on some documents. But that is so. Don't take my word on it. Trump failed. As I always say, folks, see what other people are saying. Okay. Kiss, Marry, Divorce, CR revised version. What were the original names there, Matt Saigai? Yeah, okay, Meowser, I do love the Japanese stuff. They're so simple. I like a lot of what is it? Simple stuff that isn't overly populated with images. What is that called? Like not reductionism. There's a word for it. You know what I mean, Meowser? Minimalism. Thank you, elevator lady. Again, proving you're my favorite elevator lady. Okay. Ted Cruz, Nick Fuentes, Tucker. Oh my God, I don't want to do that, Matt Saigai. Yes, I love it, Global. Love it. Love that Gothic script. Okay. Yes, I do know CPR. I actually know Global. Funny questions, Global. I do. I know CPR and first aid. I am actually trained in both of them. I have a certificate and everything. It was actually funny. It's not funny, but like a week after I got my CPR certification and my first aid certification, I was at a Sam's Club and there was a woman lying on the ground bleeding out of her nose and mouth, and I had to help her using what I had learned because no one else was helping her. I don't know if I did a good job, but yeah. Am I missing anything here? All right. Am I any questions here? I feel like I'm missing okay, Nick Tucker. So I agree, Outer Signal. Because Matt's like, I can't be saying that on stream, you know what I mean? Kiss, marry, divorce. So Ned, Ted, let's see here. Ted Cruz. Ugh, God, I don't want to kiss, marry, or I don't want to kiss or marry any of them. I get okay. If I'm going to be a fool about this, I'd say that I would marry Tucker Carlson. I know that's gross, folks, but I'm stuck. I'm stuck on. Well, Trump failed. I don't like the 1619 project either. I've actually so that's a fair point. Trump failed. I've actually talked about it. I would divorce Fuentes. I'd marry Tucker Carlson, divorce Fuentes, and I'd probably kiss Ted Cruz. I'd probably have to be really drunk. But if I had to choose, I'd probably kiss Ted Cruz, marry Tucker Carlson, because Tucker Carlson is goddamn wealthy, right? I mean, if I'm just going to be blunt, like I would take some of that Swanson money, okay? But like if we, okay, nothing, Luke. Ignore it, Luke. Nothing's happening, okay? Yeah, but hey, it could be a divorce a day later, right? Soup cheese. Okay. Um. Let me go back here. To go back. To go back to what Trump failed said. Yes. So cynical doesn't believe in the 1619 project. I don't either. Trump failed. It is really bad history. I gotta tell you, it's not great history, and I am not. It's not good history. There's a lot of mistakes in it. It's framed pretty poorly. So I agree with cynical historian on that. There's some good stuff in it, but there's nothing really new in it, and the stuff that isn't new is generally wrong or oversimplified, in my historical opinion. Okay. It has been refuted by historians. You're absolutely right. Trump failed. Okay. Tell us about the worst pupil you ever had. Oh my God, Mithril. I did have some. Oh God, I have a lot of examples. I had one who literally caught fire. I had a pride flag on my desk, this little tiny pride flag that was just sitting in a pencil holder, and I had a pupil walk up while I was sitting there and catch it on fire with a lighter. That was unpleasant. I would have to. I had a pupil who I would have to break up fights. I've a lot. There's I've had a lot of pupils who I've had issues with. I don't want to be necessarily specific, but yeah. And I'll tell you what, the school where that happened, they only punished him by giving him like a day of detention or a day, like a day-long suspension. It was not a great school and how they handled these things. Yeah, it wasn't even my flag. A teacher had brought it to me, and I just kind of put it in my little my pencil thing. I don't mind that it was there, but it was just anyway. They literally had a lighter. They had a lighter, and they walk up and they catch it on fire. And to me, that's arson, which is a serious offense to do in a school. But the school didn't take it that way. I don't want to get into maybe on an after dark stream. I can tell you more details. Some stuff happened after that that made me leave that job. Anyway, by the way, folks, without going into too many details here, it is very possible for males to be sexually harassed in a workplace too. I just want to throw that out there, okay? By bosses sometimes as well. Anyway, don't get me started. Okay, No, sexually harassed SoCal is what I meant to say. Okay. I think bringing a lighter to school. Yep, it is soup cheese, but this school was not a great school. And I don't want to go into too many details. Maybe on an after dark stream, I'll go into details. Okay. Okay. What did Trump fail? The 1619 project is what you mean? Because I agree with you of the 1619 project. Nope, they're not in your groove. They're not allowed. But this school was not great. Okay. All right. Did I? Okay. Oh, okay. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any. I know. Oh, I'm sorry, Meowzord. What are my 3 top historic era movies or shows? Oof, God, I love. So Saving Private Ryan is top tier. Shogun would be number 2. I highly recommend everyone watch Shogun. So Shogun, Saving Private Ryan, and then this one. Would be the last. I'm trying to find a different. So that would be one historic era. I really like. Another really good one is okay. I'll just do this anyway. I know 2 of these are from the same era, but Jojo Rabbit. I know it's not technically. It's from the same era as like Saving Private Ryan, but I just love Jojo Rabbit. Okay, Jojo Rabbit, Shogun, and Saving Private Ryan. Oh, of course, soup cheese. Okay. What's my favorite master? My favorite massive fail from history, like the Dahmer party. Oh my God, there's so many options, Meowzord. So many options. Oh, Matt Saga, that is a good one. Argo's really good too. Okay, Argo's really good too. I also have a place in my heart for the movie Elizabeth, about Queen Elizabeth. It's not the most historically accurate, but I still I enjoy it. Okay, anyway. That's a good question. The Great's pretty good too, Meowzord. What's my favorite massive fail? God, this is a good question. Probably. Well, I do really like Braddock's defeat, which we've talked about. The favorite's good too. Outer Signal. The Braddock's defeat is a really big fail. Maybe not the largest fail, but a pretty big fail. Oh God, there's so many good historical failures out there. Here's one: the Children's Crusade. I love the Children's Crusade. I mean, I don't love it, but that is one of the biggest historical fails where they're like, well, since our other crusades, our other Christian crusades have failed, God clearly wouldn't let children be slaughtered. So why don't we send a crusade only of children into the Middle East? It did not work. It did not work. Okay. Let's put it that way. Big historical failure there, the Children's Crusade. Any other questions, folks? I think we didn't get enough yet. We just need one more, folks, and I'll do the After Dark stream. I didn't really count previously because we got so many at once. It might be that we are. Well, okay. Any other questions, folks, about really anything you want to talk about? I know, right? Soup cheese. Let's just send the kids. By the way, most of them didn't even make it into the Middle East because shocking. Yes, Alan. Yeah, we can. If we get one more donation, I will do that. Thank you, Malzord. I know it's cringe. Thank you, Malzord. I didn't really count, so we'll do that now. Oh gosh, thank you guys. Yeah, we'll do it. So we'll do an After Dark stream. Okay. Yeah, there we go. After Dark stream. We'll do an After Dark stream. I do like you, Matt Saigai. You know I like you, Matt Saigai. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, by the way, so most of the kids got lost. They didn't even make it to the Middle East because they just wandered off and got lost. So I'm exaggerating slightly. There were some adults that were sent with them, but like not many. It was mainly just kids. You know what? Let me look it up. I haven't studied it for a really long time. The Children's Crusade. Yeah, it was a failed popular crusade. By the way, most of the children ended up getting sold into slavery. Oops. And there's a lot of different accounts of it. Some say it's exaggerated, others say it happened. There's some, but there. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Okay, there's about 50. So I'm looking at like a source thing. There's about 50 sources from the period that talk about the crusade, ranging from a few sentences to half a page. Um, yep. So there are. So it is a real thing here. Trying to find what the results were of this. Yeah, it's pretty dark. Yeah, surely God will not kill children, get sold into slavery. See, he didn't kill them. God is good, right? Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so very dark part of history there. So the idea here, the traditional narrative is likely, okay, so the idea here was to march these kids into the Middle East and they'd be able to peacefully convert the Muslims there. Of course, uh, bands of children marched to Italy and many of the children ended up being sold into slavery in Tunis. Uh, Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, or and a lot of them shipwrecked. Um, yep. Mhm. A few okay, no, sorry, this is hilarious. It's dark, okay? Splitting into 2 groups, the crowds took different roads. About 7,000 arrived in Genoa. They immediately marched to the harbor, expecting the sea to divide before them. So they literally thought that the sea would divide in front of them because they were so holy. Anyway, Matt Saigai, my favorite, sci-fi movie. Oh my god. I love sci-fi, Matt Saigai. Um, uh, mm, and by the way, for those that say that Muslims are barbaric and stuff like that, the Children's Crusade, not exactly what I would call angelic behavior by Christians, right? Anyway, um, that's a hard one, Matt Saigai. I really like I really like sci-fi stuff. I guess if I had to choose one, I'd say Alien. I know it's a horror film type thing, but I just really like the movie Alien. I like horror. Meowser, any interesting innovations from history that throttled a random civilization into success? Oh, that's a good question, Meowsword. Uh, I don't think I have, Doug. So random inventions that have catapulted a civilization to success. Well, hmm. Well, I guess we could talk about the printing press. Uh, Honestly, there aren't that many that I can't think of that many. So the Ottomans developed they kinda took it from the Chinese. They developed something these bombards, which were these giant cannons that could fire these massive balls. That sounded bad. That allowed them to expand very quickly. Yeah, maybe that. Also seagoing vessels were important. The invention of irrigation. Yeah, I know in your group. That's why I'm like, all of these things kinda have negatives and positives. And also originally it was invented over in Asia, in Korea and China. Um, how dare you, SoCal? Okay. Hey. That's yeah, that oh god, that's so true in soup and cheese. Yeah, they just weren't holy enough, the children. Okay, I can't think of anything in specifically because most of these inventions end up spreading pretty far, pretty quickly. Roads, how about that? Early civilizations, like the Romans had great roads. How about that? Roads. Uh, all right. What else, folks? Anyone else? Oh God, your eyes are awful. Okay, so folks, we will do Inception is good. Oh God, you're right. Dune 2 is good. All right. So we will do a late night stream tonight. Okay, we got enough for that. We'll do a late night stream. In the meantime, we will also. I really liked Interstellar. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, you're right. Mathematics did soup cheese soup, but that was developed like elsewhere. Like that was developed in lots of places, like India, Arabia. Like it didn't. Maybe I misread the question, but the Aztecs and the Maya knew something about mathematics. The bow and arrow existed before the Romans. Trump failed, but yeah, but like I don't know. It's hard to didn't talk about any specific civilization. Writing. How about that? Writing, also invented by several civilizations, really propelled a lot of civilizations. Okay, yeah, Interstellar is really good. There's also Gravity is pretty good. I don't. I love sci-fi stuff. The old Battlestar. Like the newer Battlestar Galacticas were very good. I know it's not really a movie. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I also used to like Star Trek a lot. Yeah, I know. This is why I'm like, Arrival. Yes. Oh, Lost. You're totally right. I forgot about that. I love Arrival. Arrival is a great movie. I got you. Trump failed. Right. I know that's the thing from Bill. Like I have trouble choosing one thing. My favorite anime. So I would say that I know this is Tiago's here. Hey, Tiago. Okay. I will say that people might not like this. One of my favorite animes is Berserk, which is a very good anime. I'd say my Berserk is really good. As a maybe not as anime, but as a manga. It's a very good. I like that a lot. There's also I had this really great. Yeah, I love Berserk. Very complex there, very deep characters. A lot of blood, okay, some sexual content. What doesn't matter to me, but I love Berserk. There's also I had this book. This was a Japanese. It wasn't a textbook, but it was a Japanese manga about the history of the Second World War. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was fantastic. It was a very big manga, but it was a manga about Japan's involvement in World War II, and it was not necessarily positive, but it was very good historically. Yeah, there you go. Outer Signal, a lot of violence in it, and Berserk, but I do really like Berserk. There are other ones too I like a lot. Trying to think of the one. Name some popular ones for me. For a while I liked Attack on Titan, except it's just so dark. Like it was hard to watch because like every episode was so depressing, and it was like people crying all the time and people's loved ones constantly dying. And I'm like, okay, is that the whole thing here? Is that we're just going to see episode after episode of death and destruction? Okay. No, those are some. Oh, those are good. Cowboy Bebop's good. Thoughts on Trump wanting to take ownership of corporations? I believe Bernie and Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, I would have to look more into it, Alan. I suspect it isn't what it sounds like. He may want to take a partial ownership of them, which would be a very socialist thing to do. But I don't know, Alan. I have to look more into it. I don't trust that he has a socializing spirit in him. I have to see Mind Game. What's Mind Game? Oh, Contact is really good too in your groove. All right, you guys. I'll have Meowser, I'll take a look at that. I do like anime, but I haven't seen as much of it as I would like. I need to watch more of it. All right, folks. Any other questions here? Any other questions here? No questions? Okay. So, I haven't yet, Druzilla. I'll get to it though. I'll get to it. All right. Okay, guys. So, I think you all know what I'm about to say. You know what I'm about to say. First of all, I'm going to do an After Dark stream later. I'm doing well, Tiago. How about you? I'll do an After Dark stream later, probably between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you for everyone who donated. I'll try to post the video I did today at some point. All right, and on that note, you all know what I'm about to say. Okay. You all know what I'm about to say. First of all, free Palestine, free Palestine. Second of all, never stop resisting. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. The easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves, and that includes when you watch me. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. See what other people are saying. Don't get caught in an information silo, because the easiest way to resist is to think for yourselves. Thirdly, we're living in a fascist moment in this country, not only in this country, but in other countries around the world. Fascism thrives in an environment where people have lost faith in their democratic institutions. We need to give people things in order to make them regain the faith and make them trust democracy. Okay, so we need major reforms in this country, not only in this country, but in other countries around the world. We need major reforms. You cannot stand in the center. If you stand in the center, the fascists will walk all over you. Okay, we need more Mamdanis out there who are actually fighting. On the wall behind me is a sword. The name of that sword is Chainbreaker. Chainbreaker is thought to have been responsible for the death of 7 slave owners. Why do I have it back there? I have it back there to remind everyone that our ancestors made some major sacrifices for some of the things we have today. Some of the rights we have, some of the economic rights, economic freedoms, things like that. We cannot let their sacrifice go to waste, folks. Please, please, please do not let our ancestors' sacrifice go to waste. They fought hard for it, even putting their lives on the line. And some of those things are being rolled back. And always, folks, always, folks, fight for a better future. And on that note, folks, let us, I'll come back on tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day, morning, evening, noon, night, wherever you may be in the world. Love you all very much. By the way, one last thing here. Please join our Discord. I posted it earlier in the chat. And I'm sorry. I'm back on today. I'm sorry. You know what I mean. Okay, you know what I mean. I'll be back on today, but then we'll have the other regular stream tomorrow. Okay. How dare all of you? Okay. I'll be back on later tonight. Between 7. Okay. For anyone who has advice or questions or comments about the stream, how I could do it better or anything. As a teacher, we're always taught to get feedback from our audience, from our students. Okay, let me know. You can go to Discord, just send me a private message. Anything you think I could do better that would keep your attention more. Would you think we get more people in here? Would love the feedback. Okay, and be as mean as you want about it. Okay, or maybe not horribly mean, but be as brutally honest as you'd like to be. Okay, just last comment there. And on that note, folks, I'll see you all. Have a good morning, evening, noon, night, day, wherever you may be in the world. I'll see you later when I come back on. I see you, Mad Sci Guy. Okay, bye-bye.